Welcome to ScavTalk. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing the wipe, all the patch note changes, and also
After that, we're going to be discussing the undocumented changes, of which there are many, and I've been sifting through a lot of them over the last couple of days. So there's probably more we can talk about than will fit into a 2-hour episode, but we're just going to do our best. And then finally, we will have a small segment on the stats that BSG have released on the player base. They like to do this at the end of every patch, and they have released the same as they usually do for 12.12, and some stuff about the event as well. So we're going to get into that right at the end, but yeah, dude, let's jump straight in. It's the wipe. It is what is it today? So today is Saturday the 2nd. The wipe happened on Wednesday, of all things.
Right.
So just to go all the way back to the beginning, you know, everyone thought it was going to be Thursday. I thought it was going to be Thursday. Turns out we were all wrong. It was on the 29th. I mean, can we never trust PSG again? We shouldn't have trusted them before, in fairness, but it's fine. I don't mind if they do it one day early. I think it's
it's cool, really not a
exactly. So we've had Wednesday. Wednesday was kind of a half day because I sat here. It was supposed to be finished at 1 British time, which is actually the time I normally stream. And then it got literally. I was like, right, well, I'm just going to go live when it's supposed to be on, and then I'm just going to chat. And if it's delayed a bit, then that's fine. Literally, like 3 minutes into getting on and starting the stream up, I'm like, here we go, everyone, it's time for the wipe. And they were like, boom, 3-hour delay instantly. As soon as I went live, I was just like, well, I could just stop and go and do something else and then come back. But I was like, whatever. So we just, shot the ship for 3 hours and just waited.
Nice.
So that was that. But yeah, no, it's kind of like a half day, and then we've basically had Thursday, Friday, and today full days to play. So I guess to frame it, right now I'm level 16. I'm about to get to level 17 to get to Ragman 2. And you're what, level 15? I think you said.
Just hit 15. Yep.
Cool. So both flea market bandits.
Yes.
So I guess we should go through the patch notes first.
Yeah.
We'll try and do it with some haste, I suppose, because there's so much to talk about. I mean, should we just start at the top? What do you think?
Yeah. I tell you what, I'll drop the first one. The big thing on my list is presumably, we got the 3 new rogue boxes, which I'm not confident in how they operate. I did see Logical Solutions post some information about that, and I was a little upset because I didn't want that to get spoiled, but I do want to see all the other stuff that's also been changed behind closed doors. I wasn't mentioned in the patch notes, so I'll take it. But anyways, I'm not really too sure how they work. Okay, maybe you could clarify, Giga, but my understanding, how it's been pitched to me, is they have a chance to spawn on a map, and then they will spawn only on that map, still chance based, for a period of time. What that period of time is, we don't know. Is that correct?
I think so. People have said that they've seen them in various different places on different. Well, they've seen them on different maps, not necessarily different places, but they've seen them on different maps already. So I think the time periods are quite short, from what I can gather. I'm not 100% certain, but I've heard people saying that they've been on woods. People are saying that they've been on shoreline. So woods, I think it's Scav Bunker. Someone in my chat was complaining today about how they bumped into them 4 times on woods because they were scavving on woods, and Scav Bunker's an extract, and they keep running into them while they're leaving, which is really awful. And then I think they're on weather station, and then they're in customs around the fortress, Alamo stronghold kind of area. I'm not sure about. I don't think they're on interchange. Is it just those 3? Is it Woods, Shoreline, and Customs? I forget now.
Woods, Shoreline, Customs, and Lighthouse, I believe.
Oh, and Lighthouse. I don't know if anyone's actually. I haven't heard of anybody running into them on Lighthouse yet. Bizarrely, I haven't actually heard it. I'm sure it's happened, but I've just not actually heard anyone talking about it. Maybe it's because not that many people are playing Lighthouse at the moment. I think that might be the reason. But yeah, people are running into them. I think it's. I think it's fairly rapid, these changes, as I was saying. The only video that I've seen, I did watch Nice Guy's video, because he seems to have basically spent the first day of the wipe not doing anything other than playing against the rogue bosses in offline mode on customs. I don't know how. He must have got his hands on a Scar H or something, got his community to pull him gear or something like that, and then
Yeah, I
he's
was
basically just
thinking the
taken
same.
that. Yeah, exactly. He's just like taken that into offline and just like tried to desperately farm them, and they seem insane. They seem
Hmm.
insane. The I mean the mechanics of them, it's kind of the same as usual. Where it's like, how do you balance a boss that is so strong like that?
Yeah,
To not be farmable, but also to be challenge worthy. It's just the usual thing of, if you're
right.
not behind cover and you don't play them around doors or corners or whatever, then they'll just insta snap your head off. It seems, and apparently it seems like Bird Eye is actually the strongest one in some sense, because he's the strongest AI, because he, as Nice Guy put it, he's like Sturman combined with Killer. So he never rushes you, and he'll just pick your head off and just kill you from
Yeah,
like a ridiculous distance through tiny gaps and all sorts of stuff. Whereas at least if you manage to kill like Knight and Big Pipe, it seems they'll rush the player. I've not actually even bumped into them once, but yeah,
me
they'll
neither.
rush the player, and then you can, if you've got a doorway that you can kind of like bait them through, then you can like shoot them in the head, because they have unarmored heads, but their heads are like 80 to 90 HP each. So you still have to really, you have to really drill them with some
Yeah.
ammo. But you can do that. And if you kill either, it seems if you kill either Knight, or is he called Death Knight? I think he's officially called Death Knight. If
Hmm.
you kill Knight, then Big Pipe will try and run you down, and vice versa. So they're kind of paired up in that sense, Knight and Big Pipe. Whereas that's not the same for Bird Eye. He's like the hardest one, because he doesn't always come out of cover, and you have to like bait him with grenades and stuff. And as soon as you make a mistake, he shoots you and you die. So yeah, it sounds kind of rough. Like, I have absolutely no interest in seeing them early.
Yeah,
I
I
really
feel the
don't.
exact same, man. Feel the
Yeah.
exact same. It just like when I saw Nice Guy's video, I just literally thought, great, we have two killers in Sturman now. It's just like I I am so fed up with interchange. But anyway, it's a whole nother topic. So
Yeah, I mean, and that's like, on customs as well. It's just like, oh, hello, I've just bought this nice Escape from Tarkov game. Let's see. You just run into the. Can you imagine? You just get like absolutely grilled within like
yeah.
a couple of raids. People seem to run into them fairly often, but yeah, it's a small spawn chance. I can't remember even what it was, because I didn't really pay attention. It was like 8% or something. I think I don't
Hmm.
know, something like that. And that's even if they're on the map. So it's quite a low chance of bumping into them. And where I've been going, I've not been going into Fortress that much either. So I think it's unlikely that I'll see them, but. That's interesting. I mean, it's fun that they're in, and we'll just see what happens. I think Nice Guy was trying to post some pictures of their loadouts, and he said that he'd only seen Big Pipe with the multi-barrel GL once, and he killed him a couple of times. He normally had the regular grenade launcher, so it seems like it's a rare spawn, even for him. If you kill him, if you have them on the map, if they're on the map, it's like
Which
a
I think's
percent of a
cool.
percent of a percent. Yeah, I think it's cool too.
I
I think
like
it's cool
that.
too.
I
Not to
like
have it
that.
like every time,
Hmm.
and people just have like loads of them or whatever. Like, yeah, you can get an ordinary GL. That's bad enough. So I think it's fine. I think it's fine. So, I mean, yeah, I don't really have much else to say about them, because like I haven't run
No.
into them. I've been looking at the mechanics, and that's about it really. I hope I don't meet them until a lot later on. Hmm.
Um yeah, so that's the rogue bosses. The other notable thing, which I haven't gotten into, I don't know if you have, is the offline co-op mode. Have you dabbled in that at all?
I've not yet. I've
Okay.
not yet. I've just been trying to force progression. Have you played it yet?
I have not, but I was this was sort of my fear, is that it was going to be very um I don't know. Like I was like, when I remember seeing the Tarkov TV when they were demoing it, I noticed that it was like you check the enable co-op mode, and then all the other options for like weather time, AI was like gone. I was like, that's kind of, I was like, but it's fine. Maybe they'll add more customization on that end, but it is kind of a downside to me, anyways. For what I would want to use it for, but yeah,
Yeah, it was probably easier for them to just implement it like that, because it's
yeah,
basically keeps a lot of
absolutely.
the same real server settings, rather than them having to faff about and like carve out the AIs and stuff. Because like when it's running on your own local machine, like they built the offline mode a long time ago,
It's a good point.
so it was
Yeah,
probably a bit easier. So, but they're using their existing server infrastructure because of that. I don't know whether certain configs need to stay or whatever. The thing that's most annoying for me is not being able to turn AI on or off.
yeah,
Everything else I don't really mind. I'm really not
yeah,
that bothered.
yeah.
But
That's the
yeah,
bigger
not being able
one.
to turn AI on and off is annoying.
Yeah.
Um, but in fairness, like online version of scavs and online difficulty of scavs, there's not that many really. So I don't think it's necessarily a massive problem, but it's a bit unfortunate that all the settings have disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can just see it now. Come on, guys, let's go and like film this really cool shot and interchange Maul, and then Killa just like stops around the corner. No filming near Kiba whatsoever. He's like Maul car. So yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yep, exactly. So I think we're still to see the use of that after people are grind. Like everyone's just grinding right now, so
Yep.
we're gonna have to
Yep.
see. Have to see what happens with that. I'm still, as I said, yet to use it for any testing. I like the fact that you can join all groups together in one spot. That saves a lot of running about, which is kind of fun. But I also quite like the fact. I imagine so when you click "Don't spawn together," I guess it just assumes everyone's a solo and puts them all on all the solo
That's
spawns.
a good question.
I would guess.
Yeah,
because you can't like team up, right?
Right.
You'd have to, if you were doing like a 5v5 practice PvP thing in like Resort or something, you'd have to start groups, decide who's on what team, split up, and then have someone just like say, right, go, that kind of thing. Because you couldn't just like spawn at random spawns, but as a group, I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to play with it and see. But it's fun. I'm glad it's there. I'd rather it be there in this form than not be there. So.
Yep.
Definitely happy about that. Oh yeah, actually, just before we move on about that, it's actually quite an interesting thing because this is the first time ever that I think I'm going to be able to test certain ricochet chances, and the one I'm really interested in is the Condor glasses. Did I mention about this previously? Because guess what I found in a stash? I found some APSX, and so I have the 35 damage round that I can stick inside the MP5 and step 1 foot away and fire one shot, and it won't kill you because it won't headshot. So I can fire. We can fire, many times. Just bring lots of different condors in. I have about 20 rounds or something, 25 rounds, and so I can just be like, bam, right, heal up, change your glasses, bam, heal up, change your glasses, bam, heal up, change your glasses. We can just test it over and over, like straight on, either side, this kind of thing. See if the angle makes any difference, that kind of thing. Because like without an ammo that doesn't one shot you, it's just too much work, dude. Like having to reload in every single time someone dies, or you have to bring 11 people and everyone wears them, and you're just like bang next, bang next, bang next. It's just too much.
Yeah,
it's too much. Whereas this you can do with 2. You just both stand there, and one guy just, and you can just keep healing up, just being a big grizzly or something, and just heal up the head, and it should do 34 damage each time. I think APSX has got like, it'd be annoying when it fragments. So I think it's got a tiny fragment chance too. So that's good. But I found that really early, and I thought, yes, this is exactly what I'm not going to use this in raid ever. I'm just going to keep it in my stash for testing headshot stuff. So we'll see.
I'm really excited.
Fun,
to see the results of that.
It's like super high pen as well. So it like definitely won't be absorbed. You know what I mean? Because it's like level 1 versus like class 6 busting,
right.
SMG AP rounds. So nice. So yeah, I thought I'd just mention that because that's fun. But that's to come at some point in the future. I don't know when we get around to it. All right, I don't know. What's next? Animations?
Yeah, so there's a lot to talk about here because we could also talk about Inertia, but maybe we'll get to that a little bit later. But animation changes. I really like so my day 1, I played squads of Airwing and friends, and the third person animations just look so good, dude, and so immersive. Like I just love seeing how they move. Even like scavs running about, it's just like, oh my god, like this kind of terrifying, it's just like, holy shit, he's charging right at me, dude. He's just like juggernaut, dude. And it's like, man, it's like it kind of makes it harder to track them because it's like, I don't know if it's like I'm trying to like balance absorbing this new information and like, oh wow, that looks so cool, look how his shoulders are swaying, or if it's just like he's actually just like bobbing and weaving and I'm having a hard time. Like I don't know what's going on if I'm like trying to do 2 things at once. But anyways, I think that's really cool. I really like the third person animations, even the first person stuff. I don't mind I know there was some I think you posted about like some people were complaining about the first person head bobbing is. I mean, I personally don't mind it because it's not a vertical head bob. Like the vertical head bob stuff really makes me sick. Like in the older, I think they were more popular in like older like classic arena shooters, like FPS or Quake stuff era, but boomer shooters as they call it. But I personally don't mind it. It's just it's a horizontal head bob to me. It's a little bit of a vertical. It's like kind of like a diagonal, really, and realistically. But it doesn't really bother me, surprisingly. Could I go without it? Sure, but I'm kind of just like whatever. It doesn't, like I said, doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, I think it's mainly the sprint. I think it's when people are sprinting, that's when people seem to be the most bothered. I imagine that one of the main reasons why people have been bothered is because it bothered Pestily, and he talked about it, and so it's just like I think a lot of people have become kind of aware of it. Maybe they weren't aware of it before. Obviously,
Could
he just
be.
has a lot of people, listening to what he says. So if he says, "Oh, this bothers me," and people go, "Ah, does it bother me?" Like maybe they weren't thinking about it before, but
Right.
now they are. I don't know, but I actually didn't really notice, and all it felt to me was immersive. Honestly, I
Yeah, that's
actually
kind of
quite
what I
like it.
feel. Hmm.
So it's each to their own. I mean, if it makes you sick, then obviously that sucks, right? Like, that's really
Yeah.
unfortunate. And if you could turn it off, then that'd be fine. But I would definitely leave it on for myself, just because it reminded me. I couldn't really describe it in the tweet that I put out because it's a difficult thing. It's like not really. It's not inertia or anything like that. It's just like I feel more connected to my PMC. I feel like my PMC is actually in the world. I
Yeah.
feel that he's a real person. Some people are saying like, oh, if you look sideways, it looks really weird if you're running with like a pistol. It looks like your arm's dislocating or something like that. Maybe with the pistol because you've got, or an SMG because you've got your hand up like that. I didn't actually test that, but on the other ones that I was looking at, because we did it live while I was like, look, it looks fine, but I was running around with the VPO, and people are like, oh, maybe it's the really short ones, then maybe it just looks a bit weird. And people saying like it looks like your shoulders like doing a weird wave, and I was like, I had this weird moment when I was like walking around, and I was like, I looked sideways, and I was just like, just looks like it does in real life, honestly. Like, I can see, I never normally notice my shoulder. I think it's partly because in the game, it's in like perfect clear vision, even on the peripheral, because of the way that monitors function, right? Whereas like in real life, if you're looking sideways, you can see your shoulder in your peripheral vision, but it's just kind of a blur because it's in the corner of your
Right.
eye.
Right.
You're never like looking directly at it. So you never see a
Yeah,
perfect
that's a
vision
good
of it. But I
point.
was like, if you actually pay attention, I was like, it's actually kind of the same. It does actually look like it does IRL, really. So to me, it feels great, and it reminds me. This is kind of what I wanted to say. It reminds me of one of my favorite single player games of all time, which is Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine, which
Hmm.
has it's not that great a plot. Like it's a very very generic plot or whatever. But the feel of the characters in that game make the
Mm.
whole game. It feels you feel like a Space Marine. It's just insane, and I feel like a little bit of that in Tarkov now with
That's
the
cool.
animations and the changes for just the way it feels. It's like, oh, I feel like my guy's actually running with the gun. It feels like the gun has weight in his hands.
Yeah,
When you're
yeah.
sprinting and it's like, and he's like carrying it and stuff. Like, dude, it's awesome. I think it's really cool. I'm really enjoying just the vibe. I'm more immersed than I was before. Definitely, it's great. It's not you're not just stiff cardboard PMC with a
Yes.
rifle just kind of moving around the map like a rail shoot or whatever. But it's great.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I've not been able to see that much of the third person animations because usually it's just like someone comes on screen and it's just like just blur
Yeah.
and aim punch and just like there's crap everywhere and then one of the views lying on the floor. So I haven't been able to see an awful lot of the third person motions except for on some of the scavs. And there's been a couple of times when I've gone like, oh, that was definitely PMC, and then I go and loot and I'm like, oh, it was an AI scav. Amazing, like crazy. So it's good. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm enjoying it
It's
a lot.
cool. I guess to like branch off on that, they also changed jumping a bit. Well, I don't know. I'm a little uncertain about that, but specifically the jumping animation they did change. You do like
Mhm.
this weird little like hobble, like you land, you're like, like your arms like flail up just a little bit. It's just
It's
like
funny.
I don't know. It just looks so weird, dude. But I
The only thing I noticed with jumping was like jumping sideways over one of the things in factory to try and get over it, and
mhm.
my character like went a little bit further and like stepped and had to put his foot down. Like the camera moved slightly further, and I was like, dude, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it almost feels like you got like sticky tape on your feet when you jump. Like I don't know. It's like you don't get that weird thing where like you land and then like you slide and fall off. You know what I mean? Like you still slide. I've still like
Mm.
jumped onto rocks and slid across and then finally I land. But
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like I went to the Lighthouse Island on offline mode to like explore and I was like maybe gonna get some B-roll footage for something, but I ended up trying to see like what you could jump on top of, how you could get in and out. All that. This is just like where my mind goes with this stuff. And I just felt it really easy to jump on top of these things, like these barrels, these tires, and then jump on top of the wall. Like I didn't have to do
Yeah.
the sideways thing and the forward thing. It's like literally I could jump up, press W against the wall, press space, let go of both, and then I would be on the ledge of the wall. Like it just felt like you were sticking to stuff. I don't know if that's like they actually changed anything or if it's just the animations that are messing with me, but the jumping does feel slightly different to me. And that very well could just be the animation. And then the even sub branch of that is on day one of the wipe, I believe, and maybe day two a bit. Your when you jumped and landed, you weren't making any sounds, which I think that's been mostly patched. I want to say it's not all of it, but most of it. And I don't know if it's a bug feature or whatever. I think it's interesting though, because on top of that, they changed, of course, the sounds on different surfaces. There's now more detail. What are they called? The not cardboard, but the wooden planks that people pick up with forklifts. I can't think of the word.
Like a pallet.
Pallet. Thank you. They have like their own unique sound. Even like metal stairs have like their. It's not the generic metal footstep sounds. It's like there's variations, which I really like, because you're gonna have more opportunities to say, oh, that was a someone was running. I heard grass and I heard a sharp wood sound and I heard metal. I know that he just stepped on this weird pallet in between this grassy knoll and the metal staircase. It's like you can pinpoint instead of generic sounds for everything. It's a lot more detail, which I really like for like map knowledge and getting information that way. So I think that's pretty cool and helps build the immersion as well.
Yeah, definitely, because they've changed a lot of the metal sounds too. So now it's like I'm standing on a piece of metal that is on the floor but is kind of connected to the floor, sort of thing. So there's like some areas in Factory which, so if you think when you come out of gate 0 and there's those kind of raised up metal walkways, those have the old sound. And that's fine because it's like sheet metal levitated above the floor in kind of some sort of suspended, sort of supported way. So it's like hollow underneath, so it's going to sound like that. It's like really clunky when you step on it. But now they've changed it, so if if you're walking over corrugated iron in a stack on the ground or whatever, it would be like kind of clicky, but not booming out like it's some kind of drum. And they've changed that, and then the same thing for wood as well. It's like it's really good. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
it makes a big difference. It's just like so bad before, but everyone just kind of got used to it. Yeah, just running along the tops of those like connexes and things, just like dong 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 dong.
Yeah. My light's having a seizure. Sorry. Keep going.
Something started flashing in Church's background. Yeah. But yeah, the new sounds are really good. I think they're really good. It's mainly like wood and metal, right? But I've made the big changes. It's excellent. It's excellent. There's a lot of these small things that make a big difference to the overall like ambiance.
For sure.
So yeah. Should we talk about Inertia next? I think it feels
it feels appropriate, right?
I think it's awesome. They've toned it down. It feels really good. They added more inertia for leaning. It feels good. It feels okay. I think it feels fine. Doesn't feel anything wrong with it to me. I know. What's your experience so far?
It's definitely, dude, I think it's a big improvement, dude. It's just like, God, I was not looking forward to, I mean, I've gotten so used to like circumventing it, you could say, that it's not really a big deal, but I just never forget, dude. Day one of the wipe, 1212, Scav Lighthouse. I'm literally having trouble walking through doorways because I'm just like piloting a boat, dude. It was so weird. It was so bizarre. Yeah. So I like it because it's a lot more, like it's smooth, but it also feels tight. But it also still has that aspect where if you try to strafe AD, you do sort of get that, acceleration. I'm running at full speed. I change my direction. I have to decelerate and then reaccelerate. So you still kind of get that very minute, not extremely exaggerated boat movement. Yeah. And they completely, from what I saw, tested anyways, you really can't circumvent the boatiness, especially if you're overweight, I think. Now, there is a bit of a caveat because I do think that, I don't know if this will be effective, but it seems like if you tap D, if you do like very short strafes, like if I go D and then let go and then wait for like half a second and then go A, just like there's a Counter-Strike term for it, but it's instead of like just doing these full swings, you do like these little micro movements. But you know, obviously in Counter Strike, if you want to be accurate, precise with your shot, you have to be standing still. Otherwise, the bullets will go wherever. So you would do like these sort of like micro movements to like throw off the player, and you're just like sort of like stutter stepping and shooting in between each stop. You can kind of do that in here, and it feels kind of good. I don't know if it would be super effective because presumably you would be out in the open. I think you might just be better just fully committing to a particular motion. The other thing I noticed from Bake Easy streaming is which he's back. Welcome back, Bake Easy. I missed you. This literally changes everything, by the way. You can circle strafe now, which is where how I understand it, as long as you're not pressing the opposite direction that you were going, then you're fine. So for example, let's say on the x-axis we had A and D, and on the y-axis we had W and S, right?
Yeah.
So as long as I'm constantly alternating between Y and X, then I'm fine. So I can hit D, W, A, S, D, W, A, S, D, W, A, S. I can go the other way. I can like do this weird little crisscross pattern, which I don't think is like a little infinite 8-ball thing, but it's interesting because you can kind of like slowly circle strafe around the corners. It's not like as busted as the old like inertia hacks were. I love saying that. It just sounds so funny. So I don't know. It's anyways. That's just my observations from it. I think it's like it's in such a better state, Giga, than like what I think it was, like how it was intended to be. It's in a better state. How it wasn't intended to be used, it's in a better state. You know what I mean? It's just like all in all, it's just so much better. So I'm really glad. I was really nervous and kind of like dreading that they weren't going to change Inertia at all, like do anything to it. So I'm very, very happy that it's been changed. And it feels great. I think it feels so good, man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I am in the same mentality as you about how good it feels. It feels a lot better. I do wonder how it would feel if we'd gone from 12.11 to this. I'm interested because whether we've got so used to 12.12 inertia and then now we've gone to 12.12.2. Sorry, I mean 12.12.30. Now that we've gone to this inertia back from it being really high, I wonder whether we'd all still be like, oh, I feel like I'm floating and can't get through doors and stuff. But because we got used to 12.12, because I was a bit worried about going back to level 1 on everything and then having to play with inertia again. But it feels better than when I was at level 47 now at level 1 PMC than it did before, which is cool. And it's interesting that you mentioned about the circle strafing because very, very early on, me and my chat were trying to figure out whether there's anything we could do.
Oh, okay.
I still think you can A and D like separately, and it still is a bit better. It's not as easy as it was, and the timing is different. The timing is slightly different. The timing's actually not as tight. So it's almost easier in some ways. You'd have to be as fast. If you're too fast, it doesn't work. You have to be quite slow about it. That sort of limits it a bit. But the circle strafe thing, I actually think is a bit strong, personally. Because we figured that out as well. And I was just like, AWSW, AWSW going forwards, just like, Yeah. And you can, if you only need to like micro tap W in the middle and you're just like instantly going the other way. You just like transition your, your momentum through the W key. It's very, 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 it's very quick. I've been using it to like peek doorways and stuff, and it's like it's actually much stronger than doing strafe AD. So I'm not sure. I think it's maybe a little bit kooky, but we're gonna have to see. I've been doing it a bit, but it's I don't know. I think it's not as I think they somehow need to bring that into line. They like need to isolate the x-axis. I think
you blew my mind with that, dude.
It's funny, and I've been getting used to it, but I think it's one of those things that it's just gonna be here for this patch. I don't think it's game breaking though. It's not. I don't think so anyway. It's not like people doing like quick leans like it was last time. So we'll see. The thing is, it just if maybe we'll see, but it feels great to play now rather than the last patch where it just felt a bit clunky. We got used to it.
Yeah, it feels really. I can't say that enough about this. I'd be curious to see what a lot of the critics of the first Inertia wave had to say about this. I'd actually be really curious to know what they say. But you really blew my mind because I think my theory is that so like the other Inertia hack I'm gonna keep saying that. I think it's hilarious. And the first 12-12 patch was the forward backward strafe. Do you remember that? I don't know.
Yes,
And you can't do that
we
in
did
this
talk
one.
about it. Yeah.
You can't
Oh,
do it
can you
in
not?
this.
Okay, I didn't
No.
try. I actually
And
didn't
I
try.
think why you can't do these strafes is because they tied it to the same
Mm.
plane. You know, like horizontal Z. I get. I don't or
Yeah,
Z. You know, I
I
don't
know
know.
what you
Forward,
mean.
backward, side to side. So
Yeah.
you kind of blew my mind because in theory, what you could do is like hold A, let go, tap W, tap D, right? And so you basically get the old inertia thing. You just have to add an extra step as tapping W in
Hold
between.
inertia with extra steps. It's honestly it's even easier than that. You hold A,
Mm-hmm.
then you hold W, let go of A, and then hold S. It's like even easier. It's like it flows really nicely with your hands. Like you don't even have to let go of A, press W, and then let go and press D. You literally just like you hold A, you hold W as if you're going in a forward strafe, then you let go so you're going just forwards, then you hold W and S, and then you let go of W. So it's like
Yeah.
A and W, W, W and S. Sorry, not
Hmm.
W and S. W and D.
Interesting. I
You know
want.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Left, forwards, forward, right, right. That's how I've been doing it. And then you can either go and circle it, or you can continue forwards and go the other way. So you go sweep like this forwards, or you can do full circle to stay on the spot. You can do it either which way around,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or do whatever. But if you do, yeah, if you make the W and S section really short, you're just kind of like moving forwards, just going in this like diagonal zigzag.
Well, that's what I
Because it's like,
wonder
yeah,
if you could do it in like a doorway where you don't have any forward direction. So, like, could you potentially make the forward movement so minute that you could essentially be quick peeking left or
basically.
right?
And if you, yeah, especially
Okay.
if you include S as well, because then
Interesting.
you're going like, it's like an oval. You're going
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
sideways,
Yeah.
and then but a tiny little W, and then tiny little S, tiny little W, and you can do it whilst leaning too.
Okay. I'm about
So
to do some more
you
testing.
can go full lean,
Yeah.
and then go woo 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 around in a little loop. So we're gonna have to see how that pans out. It might be busted. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
It feels kind of strong to me. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely been doing the circle strafe a lot, but I'm not certain. Yeah, I don't know. Now I want to test because I do feel
Mhm.
like the old method was really strong. Like I remember you sort of like featured it in a video. Like the guy
Mm.
like to react to
Oh,
that is like
yeah.
really hard. I feel like this you get a little bit more of a reaction time window because you can kind of like see them like they're like lingering in the area a little longer, right?
Yeah, it's better. It's definitely better because
Right.
the other one was like taking advantage of the quick lean as well. So it
Mm-hmm.
was really busted. Whereas this way, like if you're leaning, you have to be committed to leaning. Like you could, I mean, you could in theory be leaning out, but like the speed is just nowhere near what it was.
That's true too.
So
Yeah.
it's much easier to counter in some ways. And but I actually don't mind. It's like it's easy to counter, but it also feels better to the player. Like it doesn't feel because before I felt like I was trying to do some kind of ridiculous combo in like Mortal Kombat or something. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was awful.
Yeah.
Whereas like
No,
now
it's
it
like
feels a lot more. Yeah, it feels a lot better. It feels more intuitive. I feel like I'm more connected to the PMC's movement,
mm-hmm.
even though maybe it's like a little bit. Maybe still needs a little bit of tweaking, but broadly speaking, I think it feels good. And I haven't had any stupid moments yet with people going around
Yeah.
the corner. So that's
Uh oh. Houston, have we lost connection? Have I lost connection? Okay, so I'm still good. Oh dear. Has Giga crashed? Unless Discord's crashed for me. Huh. Okay. That's weird. All right, let me. Oh. You just caught up. It just like all the frames just like sped up in this time and space on my screen.
super weird.
Okay.
Everything was looking fine for us. We could hear you just fine, and then
That's weird.
your camera stopped, and then it went all like pixely, and then it's kind of come back. But the
Okay.
stream is fine, and everything else is okay. All the metrics are looking all right on the dashboard.
Okay. We're good.
It's all good. I think we're fine. Excellent.
So,
Let me take the tiniest detour, by the way. The new
Yeah.
wiki on fandom, the sidebar on the new wiki on fandom is obnoxious. Let me just say that. I hate it.
Mhm.
It just keeps popping out. And once it's popped out, it's very hard to make it go away. It's disgusting. Right, what's next?
So we talked about movement, talked about inertia. I guess we could just quickly list off like some new guns that came out: the Benelli shotgun, the G36, and a couple different AKs, the break action rifle that fires LPS rounds, 7.62 by 54R, the grenade launcher. Nothing too crazy there. There's been
exactly. I mean, like the quick take I think on these is like the footage I saw on the Benelli. It looks pretty good even on pump. It's like really like straight pumping. Do you know what I mean? Not to sound like really dodgy, but yeah. It's like, a lot of them, like the Mossberg and stuff, they
kind of
really
like cock it to the
shotguns,
side,
but they're like really like off to the side. Whereas this one's like bam, bam.
Okay,
it like looks really great, but you can put it on semi, so like who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The big sniper rifle, not seen it yet. The break action one, people were saying apparently I've like not given it a bit of a hard time because supposedly it has like really quick ADS speed. I've not used it, but there's like, oh, it's really fast ADS speed. So I'm just like, dude, like I don't care. I really don't care. And then the SAG AK, or I say GAK, which is like the 545 assault rifle. We were talking about that today on chat, and it's basically like what we've come to the decision is it's sort of like the TX15 of the AKs. It seems because it's single shot, but it's actually quite accurate. It's like 1.1 MOA or something stock, which is actually pretty good, and it's got like decent ergo and like decent recoil to begin with. So yeah, maybe I'm not sure. I mean, some people quite like the TX15 and those ones, and with some of the round buffs that maybe we're getting onto a bit later, then maybe it's all right. But I'm not sure. Like for long range, those low damage assault rifle, I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
RD704, I've not seen it yet. To be honest, is it full auto?
It is. I saw a video or like a clip from Rangar. I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna say that name wrong every time till you correct me. It's it looks like the new mutant is what it appears to be. So I'm curious to see how that gun fits into the stack in terms of progression and whatnot. We'll see.
Yeah. G36, not sure yet. Apparently it has, I was actually asking people today, so I'm just going off what chat told me, but apparently it's got a 750 RPM.
Yeah.
Interestingly. And people were saying apparently it has its own mags. I didn't realize. I was like, because I don't know. If you'd asked me, I mean, I'm not really an IRL guns guy, right? And G36 hasn't been in Tarkov before, so I don't know, in impressive detail how it works like the other guns that are in EFT, because it basically has to come to Tarkov and then I'll learn properly about it, like really. But apparently it doesn't take like standard Stanak, supposedly. I have to have a look at that because I was quite skeptical, but people were saying like, no, apparently it has its own. I was like, okay, fine. Like maybe IRL, I think it's like someone said that maybe it needs an adapter or something to take like regular Stanak 556. I don't know.
About right.
We'll see. Don't quote me on it, but but I just can't see it being anything special. I think is the deal. Like with the existence of the MDR and the SCAR, I just can't see how this is going to be any different, really. I mean, it's kind of like a middle ground between the M4, which, as far as I can tell, still sucks, and the SCAR and the MDR, which are pretty good. So I'm not sure. And the default scope is just as bad as we saw on Tarkov TV.
Yeah,
and I think that's it. Because then there's the big revolver grenade launcher, but we all know that that's going to be insane.
Right. And there was some animations, model rework done on a couple different weapons, which is cool to see them updating that. And speaking of, they updated the USEC and Bear clothing, default clothing. It looks really good. Looks like updated to 2020 versus like 2015 or whatever was going on before. So that's cool to see as well. I guess we probably should have mentioned this back in Inertia, but they did change a couple skills, namely strength skill. It now does not, max strength does not count the weight of your, wait, I'm going to say this backwards. Let me just read it verbatim so I don't get myself confused. Now, weapons equipped on sling, on back, and in the holster become weightless. All the other equipment and item weight in chest rigs, backpack pouches, secure containers is counted normally. Before this change, all equipment and weapons were weightless. So now your armor will actually weigh you down, your helmet will actually weigh you down, and your rig will actually weigh you down, your backpack will actually weigh you down. So I think that's a good change because I I haven't reached that pinnacle of Tarkov gaming yet, getting max strength. Not legitimate anyways, but so I can only imagine the old strength just was like a huge power spike based off the information. So we'll whatever. So I think this is a good balance change, bringing in a little bit more in line where it still like is a meaningful upgrade, but it's not like this huge. You're a freaking Terminator machine now. And on top of that, metabolism skill, we worked a bit. Zero hydration, zero energy. You will now not receive any thirst and hunger damage, but will still receive other negative effects. Before this change, there were no negative effects at all. So I assume this is like when you reach zero hydration, you would get the previous or currently, regardless, you would get the pain effect, right?
Yeah.
And you would actually start taking damage. Whereas now, I think this is saying that you won't take any damage, but you still get the pain effect, perhaps.
I think so. Unlike the issue with because I actually mentioned this somewhere else, and someone said, "Oh, you always get like 0 stamina when you're on no energy, even with max." I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't actually get max metabolism last wipe either. Amazingly, like so many people did, but I just didn't play that much last wipe, like in an hour's sense. Spent more time like thinking and trying to just get on with vids. But yeah, that's apparently it. I mean, supposedly some people said that one of the most important aspects of this change was because the last wipe, a lot of people got stuck on Jaeger's dehydration quest, because if you left it for a long time and didn't bother, and you were just chatting around doing other stuff, and then went back to do Jaeger later after you got max metabolism, it was impossible to do the quest because you couldn't become dehydrated. So some people were saying that it was partly to do with that as well, to fix that kind of issue if you did just leave it there. I mean, it's like, how many people like get max metabolism before they finish Jaeger's dehydration questline? But yeah, some people do it. It's like the guy, so many of the guys who like don't even bother with like ScavCase and the Hideout and all sorts of stuff, right? It's like happens, right? But if you're playing, if you're the top of the game and you're one of the proper sort of sweat streamers, you know what I mean? It happens. These things happen. It's funny. Like it was what we were talking about like a while back. It's like it seems incomprehensible to me to do things in that order, but it happens to some people. It's just the way it works.
Yep.
So apparently that, and then then the other one was they changed perception as well. So I think they should have just gotten rid of perception personally, but they changed it now. The hearing radius increases by 0.3% per level up to 15%. Before it was 0.7% and up to 35%. So 15% at max perception rather than 35% hearing distance. What that really means, who knows? It's now flatter. So between level 1 and level 51, it's now closer than it was before. Good. I think they should just delete that skill. I don't think it makes any sense. I've argued previously about how I think it's the equivalent to having a render distance, and the more you play, you have level 51 sight, you can see 1,000 meters, and another player can only see 300 meters, right? When they're new. It's dumb. It doesn't make sense. I don't think it's fair, and I think it's detrimental to the game. So I'm glad they've reduced it. I'd rather it be reduced than nothing happen. I think it should just be deleted. Perception's a stupid skill.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I really think the skill system needs to overhaul completely. I think they could do some really cool stuff, like taking perks and you like have to choose between a negative, like, for example, you can hear better further away, but your render distance is reduced, like as an analogy to what you're saying. Like, I think that'd be really cool because you could anyway, I think that'd be really cool. But so I do agree though that a nerf is a good thing. I think that's like, honestly, it makes it's almost like a negative to level it up, because then you have a hard time telling where people are because your radius is increasing. Like they can like throw you off. It's like maybe. You hear, it's like, oh, I hear this guy running outside. I think he might be right in front of me. Turns out he's just like 35 meters further out. I don't know. It's like I can't say that for certain, but it makes sense to me when it's pitched to me. But maybe it's just some dogma getting.
I could see the argument. Can you imagine if you had perception such that you could hear everybody moving on the map at the whole time? Like, it would be really disorientating. So I can kind of see, like, if you take it to its extreme, it's like
extreme.
You have so much information. The information actually gets like lost in some sense because it's just too. I mean, you can still do it by volume, I suppose, but we all know how the audio functions in the EFT, so you can never normally trust it, or not always. So no, I can see that. I can see that argument, but I still think it's most of the time it's like you hear them or you don't, and I think it's a big advantage for some people. when you hit the moment that you hear somebody, and if you stop
Hmm.
and they carry moving and they didn't hear you,
Yeah.
and then you just go, it's, I don't know, just feels bad.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Mhm.
So
Cool.
some closing stuff here, I think. Far as technical and graphical stuff, they implemented AMD FXSR, or maybe it's just short for FSR, which is their upscaling solution. And you can use on a much more wide range of supported cards, AMD and NVIDIA. It's not temporal, I believe, so you don't get the ghosting that you do. Like I was having to fiddle about with DLSS and see if I was going to use it this swipe, and I could see the ghosting, and I'm like, man, like now that I'm like conscious of it, I'm gonna be looking for it, and I just can't. And I was like messing with FSR. FSR isn't as good because it's just basically an upscaler using sharpening. It's like monitors base have the basic technology. Because it's just the 1.0 version. The 2.0 is more advanced. But anyways, something you can maybe look into. I mean, I was getting more performance, but at distance, it's not quite as good as the true resolution you're trying to imitate. So
Yeah.
have a fiddle about, see if it's something that might benefit your system and you're willing to make the trade off. They did some updates to Reflex. They disabled map streaming, which is I believe this is my understanding. It basically takes, oh God, I think it has to do something with your
It was textures,
GPUs.
if I remember. I think it
Yeah,
loaded in textures, and it used more CPU, but it unloaded low quality textures and loaded in high quality textures as you moved closer, I believe. So
I think that's the idea. But see, I
I
don't
think
think it
so.
was working as intended because
No, they've taken it out. That's what they said.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I would notice it's like everyone's that uses that setting, everything looks like Minecraft, no matter if they're up close or if they're far away. Because I think it's what it's trying to do is it's trying to take your, let's say you only have 4 GB of VRAM, maybe it's not VRAM, maybe RAM on your graphics card.
It's VRAM, yeah.
It can't load in, like if you try to load in all of these high quality textures, it's going to bog down your graphics card. So it's trying to like intuitively, I think Apex Legends has a feature just like this, but it's trying to
Okay.
intuitively say, okay, you only have this much VRAM, we're going to like objects far away, we're going to put them extremely low and then like scale things up till we reach that VRAM limit. As things get closer, it'll be higher and
Almost,
higher
yeah.
textures. Whereas this, I don't think it's working at all, and it was just like complete muddy textures everywhere. So, anyways, if you're having issues, they did put out a post on Twitter, possibly the main website. If you're having like crashing issues or major stutters, check out their post. They give you steps to disable map streaming because there's a chance you might have it enabled and possibly could fix your issue. So look into that for sure, and get that resolved because they basically just ripped it out of the game until they can do whatever they need to do to fix it or correct it.
Yeah, my problem with all these things is there's so many of these like DLSS, FSR, the MIP streaming,
Mm-hmm.
like all of these various things, and it's just like, why are all of these like taking load off the GPU at the expense of CPU? Like that is not what Tarkov needs. Is there not a technology that we can use to help the CPU a bit and like load something? I know it doesn't really work like that most of the time
Yeah.
because the CPU is just the catch-all because it's got the widest instruction set or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, we need some help for all the
X86,
boys who are.
baby.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need the help for all the boys who are CPU locked. Like
Yeah.
almost everyone is CPU capped, really, right? Most people have good GPUs these days, especially if you've got like a 30 series card. Like you can run Taki just fine. Like on my system, I've complained many times about the fact that I gain or lose no frames by turning all of the settings to absolute maximum. I can't make my frame rate any better, but I can make the game look pristine.
Yep. Yep.
And all it does is it just amps my GPU usage up, and it's like, well, and that was my takeaway from DLSS was just I tried all sorts of settings. It's just like I may as well just have the game running on max because I don't gain any frames by not having it on max. The game looks beautiful when I have it on max, but sometimes I'm at 50 FPS when I scope in, and it's just because I'm running an AMD like 3700X as my CPU. There's just nothing I can do about it. The only thing that I wanted to touch on super quickly was
Yes.
did I talk about this last time? Did I talk about chippers like DLDSR and DLSS last time?
I think you might have. I can't say for sure. Sounds familiar.
I'm not sure. But anyway, he did. If no, sorry for repeating myself for those of you out there listening, but he did a video about DLDSR and DLSS, and basically how you should do it both together. Go and look up Chipper Webber's YouTube channel and look at it. That video is like criminally underviewed. It only has like a few thousand views. It's some of the like Chipper like really knows his stuff when it comes to hardware.
Yeah.
He's like a real like optimizer as well when it comes to like systems and things. He's like actually knows what he's talking about. And he was like, everyone's using DLSS wrong. Like you need to use it with DLDSR as well. And you have to set that in your NVIDIA control panel. So you end up with the higher reses and it then squeezes it down, and then you use DLSS on top of it. And honestly, when I did it, it looked really good because the combination of the two, because you're doing both like the deep learning, like super sampling, and the upscaling at the same time, it takes care of anti-aliasing within the system. So AA gets turned off within Tarkov,
right?
And in the distance, like tree branches, like telegraph lines, like between pylons, like the bridge on Lighthouse, you can see all of the individual struts. Like it works way better because of the super sample section, and then you get the performance back through DLSS. This is actually quite amazing. It looks pretty good. The only problem is on the one times. He thinks that there's an issue with the way that the graphics render on the one times scope. So say you're looking through like a Voodoo or something on the 1X, and it seems to use like low res textures through the scope for some reason. If he hadn't have said it like, there's lots of people who are saying this, and when I started to look around, if he hadn't have said anything, I'm not sure if I would have noticed, to be honest. Like on my system, at least, it's not the end of the world. I stopped using it because when scoped, it actually made my frame rate quite a lot worse on woods. Like normally I can play woods with over 60 FPS when I'm scoped in, and I couldn't with this double setup. Outside of that, it was really good, but I had certain situations where it made my frame rate like really bad. But it looks really good if your system can take it and you're above 60 or whatever frame rate you want to be at. Like the combination of DLDSR and DLSS is actually really nice. So maybe give it a go, see what you think, and try it out. But I think that's cool. Oh, could you use FSR with that? I have no idea whether you could use like FSR with DLDSR. I don't really know. I don't see why you
I don't see why not
if you've got an NVIDIA card. Anyway, maybe I'll ask him to make another guide. Dude, can make another one. He probably won't because not enough people watched it. It's honestly really criminal shame because it's honestly so well thought through. I'm push his guide like every time I'm streaming. Basically, I'm just like, guys, go and watch Chipper's video about DLDSR. It's like the most informative thing ever. Anyway,
I'm about to check it out. So I guess rounding off the patch notes, obviously we got the Lighthouse expansion. I don't know if we like specifically mentioned that, but yes, we got that. There's Scav task, which I haven't got either. Have you got Scav?
You need the Intelligence Center level 1.
That's right. Okay. Which is, I like that. That's pretty cool. I like how they did that.
And then you'll get daily tasks for Scav. I still haven't been able to ascertain from anybody yet whether your PMC or your Scav gets the EXP. There was someone who asked this.
That's a good question.
On a Twitter thread and didn't get an answer. Some other people were asking it too. I suspect you get it for your PMC.
I'm thinking so too. I don't like that implication, but I mean, yeah,
it is what it is. We'll see. I don't think it matters too much, but yeah. So need Intel Center for that. I'm actually kind of close. I think I'm kind of close to Intel Center. I just need some extra hideout upgrades, but yeah, I think that's it. I mean, there was like a bunch of fixes as well.
Yeah.
The one other thing, the sounds. When you're dropping stuff, like if you drop your bag or whatever, I think everybody has like freaked themselves out dropping a gun or whatever, and it sounds like someone's right next to you, like someone's walking around the corner. You're like, oh my god, what was that? Like drop someone's shotgun on the floor. Dude, the sounds are so good. They're so immersive. I love it. It's amazing.
I was watching an Axel YouTube video, and he was looting a guy he killed on top of the water treatment plant on like the metal stairs. And he went to discard one of their guns, and the gun fell down each step of the metal stairs, clanging on its way down, like cling, 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 cling. And at first it scared him, but afterwards it's just absolutely pure comedy because it went down every single step, dude. It was so funny, dude. But yeah, that's a really cool immersive thing, and it's like, dude, when you one tap a Scav that's like botting around, and then they fall over and you hear their gun hit the ground, you're just like, damn, I'm a badass.
Badass operators.
So
it's good.
That's pretty much the short of it and long of it. I mean, there's like flares we could talk about and whatnot, and you can like call in your
I don't really use them that
airdrops.
much. I don't really like. I haven't seen it that much. I've seen someone call in an airdrop at the end of a raid on customs, but like it calls in an airdrop. Like what more?
Yeah, I mean they changed a little bit of it. Now it seems like there's different types of airdrops, and I'm not sure how that works with the flares that you call in. If they're like barter only, or weapon only, or gear only, or med only, I don't know, but we'll have to see as we discover new things. Speaking of discoveries, let's talk about the stuff that wasn't in the patch notes. Okay,
exactly. The only thing I want to mention before we move on to that, there's literally a one-liner, was that they fixed the KS-23's aiming. It was super low.
Yay! Yay! I mean, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I know. I know. So yeah, and yeah, that's fixed. But great, we can go back to one peg blasting everyone's knees off. Yeah, so the undocumented changes.
Yeah,
which is always the I don't know, the secret
juice
sauce.
Yeah,
the juice of the patch.
Yes, I love it.
The way. I mean, the first one, obviously, the ammo. I mean, I've covered this in excruciating detail in the video that I put out, so obviously we can talk about it. That's totally fine. But you know, the early game takeaway is they buff PS. What are they thinking? I don't understand why they buff PS. It doesn't make any sense. This is 762. So yeah, 762 by 39 PS. The round for the AK and the SKS. I don't understand why they've buffed PS. It used to be 32 pen. It is now 35 pen. I mean,
which basically, for those that aren't aware, it basically takes it from a 30% chance to pin a brand new class 4 armor to approximately a 50%. Is that fair to say?
It was like, I think it was like 20 to like 40. I think,
okay.
On the first hit, which is a big deal. I mean, and the thing is, ultimately, it probably like means that it goes through like one shot faster than it would have before, really. But I mean, it's a big deal.
It adds up. It adds up for sure, because you can literally get it at the straight fresh out of the gate, man. Get an SKS, get a 136, find an AKM off a scav. I mean, you spawn as a scav, dude. I was getting messed up by scavs on woods with the freaking AKs. I was like, that's an AK with PS ammo. I'm cutting my losses. I'm taking the outskirts right now, dude. I'm not messing around. Because, dude, he hit me once, and my armor was toast, and my thorax was red. I was like, no, thank you. So
it's really, really rough.
I'm kind of in agreement here. I'm not too sure if it was necessary, but what's even more interesting to me is like, so you have that change, right? And then they tweaked like some of the mid-tier early game ammo, like PS, PP, and BT for like 545.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's so like, it's because BT got a nerf, right? It basically does less damage.
Well, you say that because it did 44 damage before, and now it does 42. So previously it did 88 damage.
Yeah.
Right. Out of the, like, as the bullet leaves the barrel, it was doing 88. Right. So if they're completely naked and they're standing literally in front of your gun, yes, you could 2-tap them. Sure, you could 2-tap them. But I mean, I will actually pull it up now. I don't think I even did the simulation when I did my thing, but I used the Tarkov ballistics calculator because it's an exceptional resource for anybody who's interested in some of the more finer points of this, and exactly because it's useful for looking at the break points. So you would need to have, let's see, so it's I wonder if it's got updated. Oh yeah, because this is changed slightly now.
It's probably been updated, yeah.
Because it now is updated. So now it goes so it's 42 damage, and I mean, let's say by 100 meters it's 38.
So that's a difference of 4.
And the thing is, it's kind of proportional. So I mean, you could work out whether I'm going to do this literally now or not. It's like 85 over 88. So you only need to lose 3.4% of the damage for it then not to 2-tap. So it's basically like it'll only 2-tap probably within like 30 meters, and that's only if you're naked, right? Previously, but if you're wearing any armor at all, you're going to get some armor damage mitigation. So it was never dealing 88 before.
Mm.
So over distance, you're losing damage.
Okay.
Through any armor, you're losing damage. So it was always a 3-tap. It was definitely, and the point that matters and where we care is through class 4, and it was never a 2-tap through class 4 because of the armor damage mitigation. It's about 15%, right? So you remove 15% straight away, so it doesn't matter. So 44 to 42, I don't think we should care. I don't think it matters.
Okay.
I still think it's a 2-tap through class through. Sorry, a 3-tap through class 4. But the pen going from 37 to 40 is a big deal.
Yeah,
because that takes it from 55% chance to pen to like 88.
I know, it's
or
crazy.
Something. It's like
those high numbers are so crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like 37 is the tipping point anyway, and then adding 3 pen there makes a massive difference. So it's actually a really good mid-game round. And the point that I made in my video, right, is that M80 has a pen of 41, and M80 is considered just like an instant knife through butter through class 4, right? And so it's 1 pen lower. And sure, it's like 3 hits, but I don't know. I think it's good. And what they've done is they've moved PP, or so they've moved BP up to the pen of the old BT. So BT was 37, and it was okay, right? Like you could get away with PvPing with BT. BP is now 37 damage and 37 pen and 45 damage. So BP is actually better than BT used to be because it's got the same pen. It has 1 more damage than it was. So rather than doing 88 in 2 shots, it does 90. So BP is actually better than old BT. And then PP is literally 1 pen less at 36. So it goes from a 55% chance to a 45% chance to pen on class 4. And it's 44 damage. So it's like 1 less damage. So it's like BT used to be, but 1 less pen for PP, right? And BT is like 600 around or something. PP is like 140.
Yeah,
it's dramatic. It's like 4 times cheaper, and it's like 1 pen lower, and you can buy a Prepple too. Dude, I'm using PP now.
I'm getting ready to buy a bunch.
Absolutely shredding people. It is on like nobody can survive. It is disgusting. I went straight through a Strandhog in like 3 shots. It was insane.
Yeah, that one seems really good.
So that one's nuts. I think PP is like probably the best value ammo in the mid game now because it's just such a class 4 buster. Like BP is not worth it because for 1 more damage and 1 more pen, it's literally like 2.7 times as expensive, and it's a Prepple 3. Like no one should ever buy BP anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point. Why would you do that? Like maybe the barter if the price is right, but I doubt it because PP is so cheap. And you say it's what 200 a round, less than
it's like less. I think it's like 170 or something. Like a 60 round stack is like 5,000.
Yeah, there's no way the barter makes sense. There's just no way.
It's insane.
I think the barter is like, I forget what it is for BP, but there's a BP barter. I'm about to look it up.
Exactly,
but anyways,
exactly. But the thing is, right? Again, it's a little bit like the PS change. PP used to be pretty good.
It was
at this point. Like in the white, it's like it was okay in that white period where people are using lower tier class 4s and then moving up through Ragman 2. It was kind of all right. And for the price, it was like, okay, I'm still looking after my economy and I don't want to just be spraying away like thousands of rubles every time I go for a scav or something. So I'll use PP because I have a very small chance that it fails me, but overwhelming amount of the time it doesn't matter. And the kits we're using are cheap anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now there's like none of the downside with all the upside. It's all the cheapness and it shreds everyone.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. I kind of like it in some ways because those guns weren't used. Like no one was using
the AK-74M. They were kind of weak.
The 74U. Everyone hates the 74U. I was using the 74U today on customs, and it's like literally 74U. Like the first iteration was just an EKP side mounted, dovetail mounted with a hood on the front. That was it. Straight up, straight AK-74UN. It was in fact.
Okay.
And now I got to Prepple 2, so I'm just like butt pad on.
Dude, Prepper 2, man.
Yeah, exactly. I got the a full grip on it as well, and I'm just like shredding people. It's disgusting. It's so good. It's so good. So that's that. I mean, the other one I mentioned in my video, which is like for the future. So I mean, we'll very briefly touch on it just because it's a point of interest. Is the 300 blackout round because they've taken it from. It used to be the same as it basically was like M855A1, but with more damage. Because we spoke about this ages ago. When MCX first came out and you were doing the tests, we were saying, oh, well, maybe you can 2-tap people with the MCX rather than 3-tap with 55 through class 5 or through class 4 even. And that was why the M6 was better because the time to kill was actually better when you looked at the simulation. Well, now it's still got that good damage of like 51, but it has 48 pen now. So bearing in mind BP has 47 pen, but 1 more pen than 762 BP.
Yeah.
So it's like a
It,
64% chance to pen through class 5, and it's got a 30% fragmentation chance, and it has extra chance to do light and heavy bleeds, and it does 51 damage, which is 102 in total, which means it probably will kill you straight through class 5, because I don't think the mitigation's enough. It would need to be, you'd need 20% mitigation. When I was looking at the numbers, you'd have to mitigate 20%, and I don't think class 5 does that. I would actually need to test it because it's right on the borderline. But you've got like a 30% frag chance as well. So one of the 2 bullets to fragment is like a 50% probability. So even if the mitigation is enough, half the time it kills you anyway because the fragmentation. Dude, I think the MCX is going to be low-key awesome.
yeah,
When we get to it later on.
I think it has potential to be the king, but we'll see. I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be the king because I'm not sure if like people are going to like it. It's expensive to build. Like it's not quite like the mutant.
yeah,
It doesn't quite have the same damage, but like
the
I really think this is
ammo's trader only $7 per round.
Mm-hmm.
It's like high trade. I think it's like Peacekeeper 3 or 4. The recoil is not great. It has that gun is basically a QC close quarter combat AK basically. Like I don't know, it's a weird gun. It's a weird gun. But these are some big buffs, Giga. I think these are some actually big buffs, so we'll see.
Yeah, those are some big buffs. And then on the flip side, we had the VSS just like bury it now because it's dead.
Here's the thing. I think they were trying to go for a rework. I think what they ended up with is a nerf. I think they were trying to rebalance it, but they just nerfed it. Okay, I'm sorry. You cannot convince me that losing 10 points of penetration is worth 10 points in recoil. I'm sorry. You just can't. Yeah. They're not the same, dude. The numbers, like, I know they're the same numbers, but they have totally different implications, dude.
Yeah, like I'm the guy who will tell you about, 2 or 3 penetration value being like, this will change everything, not to bake easy it, but, and then to remove 10 pen?
Yeah.
It's like what I said in the vid. It changes its armor class profile entirely. Like, it could deal with class 5. Now it can't. Now it can only deal with class 4.
Because,
it's insane.
So it went from, let me just put SP5, right? It went from, 38 to 28? Am I correct in that?
Correct.
Which is like, basically, this can penetrate class 4 reliably, to now, this can penetrate class 3 reliably, which is like, and not only that, but it's like, unless they changed it, but the VSS was like, you can't even get it. It's like, I think like Prapor sells it for like 200,000 rubles. Maybe that's the Val. And then maybe this one's barter only. You need to like barter a freaking toolbox filled of tools and like, here's 9 gas masks so you can get the VSS barter. Like, who wants to buy a crappy one-off fence from the flea market? And I just like, man, dude, they really like, I don't know. I commend them.
The
huh?
They've done one thing without the other, basically. They've retuned the ammo to where it probably should have been the whole time, but have left in all of the nerfs that they've given it over the years because the ammo was overtuned and everyone was using it. So like, it shouldn't have the recoil that it does. It doesn't even make sense, I don't think. And it's just like now I'm pretty sure they've left it with the same recoil. I haven't seen any changes for it. I haven't really seen anybody using it, to be honest with you. But I would be extraordinarily surprised if they have amended the recoil. So they already screwed up the recoil. They already screwed up the MOA to make this work with the fact that the rounds are just like super like, overbuffed, like, crack rounds or whatever. Then 1212 came along. They added 20 recoil to everything. Now they're like completely garbage, right? You fire 3 shots and it's like flying in the air, right? It's like insane. And now they've taken the rounds back to where they should have been the whole time and left all of the nerfs in. And I just think it was unusable. The guns were unusable before. I think now it's just like they're just in the graveyard. Dead.
I agree. I can't see, like, last swipe. Some people were talking about, oh well, actually, if you take the VSS and you put it on semi-auto and shoot it, it's actually not that bad and it's pretty good. And I'm just, man, get that shit out of here. That gun's trash, dude. I'm sorry, but it's just.
Yeah, I mean, you could, but it's like there are better guns for the job, right? They do the same thing. They're on semi and have better rounds and blah blah blah, and like a longer range and aren't super slow and all of this stuff. But I mean, it's like they added a little bit of damage to these things, but it doesn't really matter because of what we've talked about before. Like, yeah, if you're full auto spraying at somebody, whatever, but like Tarkov's so breakpointy most of the time. It's like if you're doing if you're not one tapping your opponent in the thorax, then you can have damage from 51, like the MCX, all the way up to 84. And it literally doesn't really matter most of the time what that number is. It could be anything between 51 and 84 because you're not one-shotting them and you're two-tapping them. So like the break point between actually being able to, having enough damage to go through the mitigation, like something like the Ash 12, right? The Ash 12 will kill you outright if you hit them with PS12B because it does 102 damage on its own. So that's fine. It has a 55% pen chance, or 50, no, it's actually a bit lower, 45% pen chance to go straight through class 5. And when it does, you die.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're firing M61 at somebody, which is, M62, it's got a 79% pen chance. Sorry, 79 damage, 79 damage, but it doesn't matter because they're going to be left on 6 HP, and that's a point blank. So it doesn't matter. And that's why the BP ends up being quite good because M62 and those guns tend to have higher recoil. BP only does 58 damage, but again, it doesn't matter because you're either two-tapping them or you're not two-tapping them, right? It's like Tarkov's quite break-pointy because of the way the health system works.
Exactly.
And because of the thorax HP. It's all based around 85 thorax HP. The whole meta is based around that for the most part. I mean, you have leg meta, people getting shot in the head, that's fine. But for body shot meta, like the 85 HP breakpoint is so important. It's like the same thing we're saying with BT, right? It's like if you're only hitting 88 through armor, you're never two-tapping them. So it's a 3-tap. So it's like guns are either a 1-tap, 2-tap, a 3-tap, or a 4-tap, and that's all that matters.
Consequently, because the 85 is the breaking point, that's why armor is so important, and that's why armor pin is so important. Because if you can just go straight through their armor and you just deal the value that they have, which is 85, then you just win. So it's like when they do this change, I'm looking at it here right now. So it went from 38 to 28, right? We already said that. My mistake, it didn't actually gain 10 recoil reduction. It only gained 5 recoil reduction. So that's like,
was it plus? Sorry, where was this one? This is, because we're talking about SP5, right?
SP5, yeah. Because previously,
plus 5 before?
I think it was null. It was just
0. Okay.
I think it was just 0. Yeah.
Okay.
But and then it's like, so I'm like looking at it. I'm like, okay, the armor damage got a little buff, which is like, I don't really know the science behind armor damage. I just
freaky.
I imagine. So
it's can't really. Stuff and I don't know either. I think that's the issue. I actually had this conversation with someone in my YouTube comments, being like, "Oh, but the armor damage got a buff, so now when it hits the armor, it's going to go through fast." And I was like,
"How much more though?"
Yeah, but no, because I was like, there's a dependency on the pen. So I was like, what's the armor damage on SP5? It's 60, right?
60.
Well, I mean, if you go and look at
which I went from 52 to 60.
Have a look at like an FTX custom light slug, which has 50 armor damage. If you hit that on a slick, it's not going to do 50 armor damage, right? It's going to do like 2.
Right.
And there's the thing. There's a dependency on penetration as well.
I see.
There's the reason why Flechette does well because it's got 31 pen.
I see. Interesting.
And yeah, it has high armor damage, sure.
Right.
But it has 31 penetration, and there's a weird dependency. So the lower you make the pen, the less the armor damage actually does anything.
I see. That's interesting.
You kind of, I just don't know how that formula works, and I've never been able to find the information.
I think I've heard Veritas talk about it, and he basically said it's just a really, really complicated formula. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, like intuitively and kind of the sort of broadly, like qualitatively, it's like, you have, if you shoot at someone with something that's got super low pen, you're just going to deal like the minimum damage. And the way that I imagine it probably works, I mean, I'm guessing, but I imagine that, we're saying we've got this 50% pen chance on the 37 penetration through class 4, for example. I would imagine that's probably the point at which it kind of matters the most, right? If you're shooting at class 4 with 2 pen, you're not going to do any damage. But if you're shooting at it with 37 pen, then you're going to deal the armor damage probably that's stated on the thing, because it's supposed to be a percentage. The armor damage is supposed to be a percentage of the actual damage that gets applied. And I would imagine that the scaling factor, so to speak, is probably 1 around that 37 pen chance for class 4. Obviously, that's going to be different for each armor. So against class 5, it's probably 47. That scaling factor is probably about 1, I think. And I don't know whether it then flattens off after that, or whether it's like actually goes higher if you're like even higher. So if you're like BP through class 4, whether that's the thing is like once you get up into that point, you just instantly pen, and you actually end up doing less armor damage when you pen, rather than when it gets absorbed anyway. So it ends up becoming more complicated, and you've got the durability thing and like the all the materials as
Yeah, it
well.
gets
And
really
different ones, there's like,
complicated.
and there's different damages depending on which material it is. Like it's super complex. So we just sort of know qualitatively. I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure if anybody knows, it would be Veritas, but I've never asked him, to be fair. I probably should. I've said a million times I probably should, but I just never get around to it. And also, it's like we're now like even for me, we're getting so specific about stuff. It's like, does it even matter enough, to make a big difference?
But that's the thing. It's like, okay, so you're gonna take away 10 pin. What are you gonna give me? You're only giving me 5 recoil reduction. Okay, on a VSS or Val, that's not a lot. You're gonna give me, some extra armor damage, as you described. Whatever the frick that does, probably nothing in the grand scheme of things, because we also lost 10 pin, mind you. And then you're gonna give me 3 extra damage. And as we already discussed, breakpoints are so important, and this is like a meaningless thing. It's like, it just on paper, from what we think we know, like, it just looks like a pure nerf. So the other part they changed was the SPP, which basically got, again, 10 points. It scaled down an armor tier. It went from 50 to 40 in terms of penetration powder. It doesn't increase your recoil as much. It went from 20 added recoil to only 10. And it gave you a little less armor damage from 56 to 55, and a little bit more damage from 64 to 68. Now, maybe you could argue, oh, you know what? Breakpoints are important. So going from like 59 to 61 is actually meaningful because now you instantly black their arms. Or going from 60 to 67 is meaningful because now you instantly black their legs. Maybe. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that's not valid. I'm just saying that what really is the big ticket is the pin and the damage. Because if you're going to hit them in center mass, which is, thorax, maybe stomach, you just want to shred their armor and kill them as quick as possible. I mean, obviously the head's the ideal part, but that's the smallest part on the body. So I don't know. It's weird. I like that they're trying something. I like to see more. I feel like that gun is just in a really cursed spot because of the recoil system, because I think what happens is the gun fires so fast and the ammo is so strong that it literally ends up becoming a hold down mouse 1 button, and the auto compensation kicks in, and it's like, okay, like, yeah, I'm off target, now I'm on target, and you're dead. And if that compensation is like too great, then it's like, this thing's a laser beam. I mean, remember when I first started playing, everyone was like using the Val. I was like, dude, the Tarkov, use this. I'm like, heck yeah. So it's just like everyone's using the Val. Now it's like, can't even, like, ugh. So that little rant over about that gun. I would love to see that gun come into play. Like, it'd be really cool, because I think it'd be really cool too if they could get the zeroing working, because then you could do like a weird little DMR, and then when they're up close, you just like spray them down as best as you possibly can. It'd be. I think it's a cool weapon system. So that'd be nice.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's mainly it. I mean, there's like a couple of other tweaks, but there's nothing majorly important. I think it's really the PS buff and then PP BP. I said actually in the vid I put out as well about, like, I don't actually think we've seen the pinnacle of 762 PS yet, because we're still in the phase where players are using. I actually, it's interesting because I think we might actually see PP first. I was thinking about this a bit more after making the video, because I was like, well, 762 PS, it's really strong, it's really good for the SKS, but people need to be wearing class 4 for it to really have a big impact, because it just auto pens class 3. And at the moment, all the 762 by 39 guns are strong, but they all kind of suck, right? They're made up for by the fact that they're running this caliber. Whereas once we get into PP, like I am now, and we're starting to be able to mod these things, those 545 weapons are actually kind of like okay-ish to start with. Mm-hmm. Whereas once people start getting the AKMs down into the sensible recoil and they're using PS, that's where people might be in trouble a little bit. But that being said, PP's got a higher pen than PS, so I'm not sure. I think PP might end up being more of a menace than PS, like 762 PS in the end.
Possibly, yeah. I'm going to try it out. I mean, I was really stuck on. I forgot about the damage mitigation and the distance damage fall off. So that's actually really interesting stuff. I did want to get your take quickly on one other ammo change that kind of slipped by, which was just kind of a question mark for me. Was the wait, am I crazy? Did they not change it? I thought I saw somewhere they changed the 7.62 by 54R PS. The one.
Oh, they took the damage down.
Yeah, which I was like, I
The
mean, it
old
doesn't really
7 and 1.
matter. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, the old 7 and 1 doesn't really matter that much because previously under 5 meters you could one tap them, but they just like I don't understand why you would use that gun, that bullet rather, over LPS or even T45 or T46M, whatever it's called. I don't know. I really liked how it used to be. Like it was like an actual upgrade. It was more expensive, but it was an upgrade. Whereas now
maybe, but like, what did you think was an upgrade about it?
well, back in the day before the damage fall off,
Oh,
you
before,
could
okay,
in the old days, like it made
right,
sense.
okay.
It was like you unlock this now, you can guarantee one tap class 4 armor. You know,
yeah. I mean that was, as you say, that was kind of cool because it's like if they're wearing class 5, they don't die.
Yep.
Because it just won't pen. But it is an upgrade because if you're wearing cheap armor, it might one tap you. Whereas now, as you're saying, it just won't. I mean, now obviously now it definitely doesn't. But it was too close to the threshold anyway. In some sense, this change I kind of like in a way. This is going to sound strange, but it's like it literally makes no difference to anything really. Because previously, I mean, if you look at the way the scaling is, it's like, yeah, you'd be able to one tap someone up to 50 meters if they were wearing nothing, and if they're wearing any armor, it won't one tap anyone basically. Maybe if you're wearing class 2, maybe, but it just is so. I just don't think it would work most of the time, except unless they've got literally nothing on. But what I do kind of like about it is that it stops the conversations of people thinking it one taps when it doesn't.
I was feeling you were gonna go somewhere like this.
Giving it 86 damage, I felt was actually misleading.
Mm-hmm.
And now having 84, it's very clear that it won't one tap.
Yeah, that's funny.
People aren't buying it under false pretenses. You know, it's like a sleazy salesman saying, "Hey, buy me. I'll one tap all of your enemies," and then you get into raid with it, and you're like, "Why isn't this guy dead?" And it's just all these mechanics just mean that you're never going to get that. So I don't think it makes any difference. But yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would say about PS is that it's the only ammo in 7.62-54R that gives you a accuracy buff.
Yeah.
Not that this matters really. It's very fringe benefit. You could actually argue. So 45 pen, what does 45 pen mean? 45 pen means that it's like a 30% against class 5. Whereas LPS is a 42%. Sorry, a 42 pen, which means that it's really not very likely to pen class 5 at all. It's like very, very low. It's like 5% or something. So you get a little bit of better pen chance against class 5. Sure, that's fine. But LPS actually has it's 18% frag chance, whereas PS only has an 8% chance. So ignoring the pen difference on class 5, they both pen class 4 quite easily. So you actually can one-tap people with LPS 20% of the time, interestingly. So LPS is actually better at one-tapping class 4 than PS is.
And always has cheaper.
Been. Ever since the damage drop off anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cheaper because you would never actually get 86 damage firing through class 4 with PS. And because the frag chance is only 8%, you'd only one tap them like 1 in every 11 or 1 in every 12 shots. Whereas with LPS, if you go through class 4, you'll get a frag and you'll kill them in one hit, 1 in every 5. So it's actually kind of weird. Like you're better off with LPS than PS most of the time.
Yeah.
Interestingly.
Dude, I had a weird deja vu. I loaded into Woods with a Mosin, and I almost instinctively went to press R, like just start spamming R. Does level up sniper skill without even thinking. It just like popped into my head, dude. Good old Tarkov.
Oh dear.
Yep.
Oh dear. Yeah. So what's next? So we've done ammo. I think that's really everything to say on the topic. Obviously I love ammo, but that's that. I had quests written down.
Yeah, let's do
the next one. So I think we could do that. First and foremost, debut. You can shoot 5 scavs anywhere you like. You don't have to go to customs.
Great change, by the way, dude. Such a good change.
Such a change.
Yep. Good change.
So good. And it actually, interestingly, ties in with the meta. I think almost everyone's doing this now because I've seen this tip on basically every single person's like wipe prep video, which is identify all the items. They wipe all of your item identification. So you identify all the items. You then get to level 2. You then go to woods. You pick up the letter. You come back. You get Jaeger straight away. Well, now you can actually kill 5 scavs on woods too. So you can technically do both of them in the same raid. You can actually finish debut in the same raid. Not that it's possible to buy the shotguns, really.
See, I think they should change that. Make even if it's one shotgun, just make it fine in raid. Just make it fine in raid. It's like all the other quests are fine in raid. Why is this one not fine in raid? Why is Jaeger's like constantly sold out of shotguns? Like, you know how annoying it is? I'm sitting here camping a trader so I can do my gunsmith, dude. I'm not even trying to do the debut. I found all of them in raid because I'm just like, fuck doing that, dude. It's so annoying, man. It's so annoying, dude. So
yeah, I managed to get mine the very first time. Like it reset, and I was just like, click yes, and like we were on stream, and I was just like, dude, I was like, oh, let's watch them disappear out of the trader stock, and I refreshed it, and it was just like gone. I was like, oh my god, we didn't even get to like count down, because sometimes you get to see in the shop if you look at it on the fleet interface, shows you like the number as it's like going down. You can refresh it and be like, wow, people are really buying this thing. It's just like I refreshed it, it was just like bam, the whole stock is just emptied within like microseconds. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah,
and as everyone said at that time, what fun and engaging gameplay. You know?
Wow, this is riveting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Man, that would, I would, because that's so frustrating, man. Because like, doesn't even make sense to run that shotgun. Like, if I wanted to run that shotgun, I can't because it's sold out for a quest that doesn't align with all the other quests. And then it's also used in the next quest. It's so annoying because like this wipe, I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but I kind of want to do like some meme kits more early on. So I'm doing like this Lone Ranger thing, like old westerny guns, like the shotgun revolver, the prick action rifle, Mosin thing, the Chapo Rhino I just unlocked. I'm going to try that out just for funsies. But anyways, so yeah, quest debut, great change. So the one you got down here next is Tarkov Shooter. They increase the distance requirement by 25, so it went from 100 meters to 125 meters, and they added lighthouse to the mix.
Yep,
which I like. 125 meters. Too. I'm not sure if that's like gonna really add to like a positive Tarkov experience. Like I don't know what value that really brings. It's like yes, I have to back further away to do this quest. I don't know. It's just.
I'm not sure about it. The one that makes me concerned is Tarkov Shooter on customs. I actually don't mind that they took it to 125 on all the maps and added lighthouse, because that's actually honestly it should be
it should definitely be lighthouse. Sense.
Changing it to 125 on customs is very concerning.
You're really pushing it, man.
Dude, like you're really pushing customs. Where?
You're gonna have to video on top of construction. This is what you do: you spawn near construction, you run up to the top, you look down the bridge, and pray to God someone's running down the bridge. If they're not
far enough,
I'm thinking it. Honestly,
it's not 125 meters is a really long way. Like I remember when I was doing the shotgun slugs video, and I was up on top of the shack by the bridge, and some of them I remember it's like, I think it is like 145. From there to, I always forget the name of it, but it's the extract with the light.
ZB13.
No, you know the one that's always broken.
RUAF.
RUAF roadblock or whatever. I think that's like 140 to there, but like, dude, there's really not many places to get one. There weren't many places to get 100, man. Like that wasn't going to happen naturally. You have to really force it to get 100 on customs. It's so claustrophobic, that map. There's so many walls and things in the way. You're gonna have to really try super hard to get 125. That's a really long way. It's a really long way.
That's why I just don't think there's a ton of value in saying you have to be this extra 25 meters is gonna like improve the quest. Like I just don't know. Like whatever. We could get into it. But
Exactly.
moving
I just wish
on,
they'd left it at 100 on customs. They can do 125 as much as they want everywhere else, but 100 on customs. I really wish they'd left it there. But anyway, such is Tarkov, so we'll see.
yeah. So I
Yeah,
misspoke.
and
That
then
was Shooter Boy Heaven. Tarkov
yeah, Shooter in Heaven.
Shooter
Oh yes, that was Shooter in
is
Heaven. Yes,
is where they did some change up. So I'll let you take this one. What did they change exactly?
exactly. Yeah, so Tarkov Shooter. This is the Tarkov Shooters part 1 through 8, where you have to use a bolt action to do various menial tasks for our good friend Jaeger. That one used to be, I believe, I looked at this earlier and I put it in a. Did I put it in the vid? I think I did. Yeah, I put it in the vid. I think it was Guns. It was either Gunsmith. It was like somewhere between Gunsmith 5 and Gunsmith 8. I forget now off the top of my head. I don't know. I had it written down.
Yep.
But it's somewhere around there.
Yep.
Then you would finally unlock Tarkov Shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've changed it so that now it's not got nothing to do with Gunsmith, which is fantastic. So now you have to find Jaeger with introduction. You have to do acquaintance. You have to get him all sorts of various food because he's hungry. And then you have to kill 5 scavs without any body armor, which is the unprotected yet dangerous quest. Which is actually not too bad. I don't mind that quest too much. I did actually die to scavs quite a lot doing it, which was really unfortunate because I kept getting just beamed by them because they've got super vision this wipe, it seems. But anyway, I don't really mind. After that, an unlock Tarkov Shooter along with some of the others. It's super early, which is amazing. I've done part 1 and 2 already because I just kind of wanted to. And I got onto Tarkov Shooter part 3. Like, honestly, this is going to make, I think it's going to make a massive difference for standard account players because the problem that they usually have, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is that there aren't enough quests that you can do to actually get Jaeger rep if you're trying to do quests alongside the other traders because they keep removing rep from him. If you do quests for Skier, it removes rep from Jaeger and it's really difficult to get him to level 2 without the 0.2 rep that you get from EOD. Like 0.2 rep, like it's like, 20 reputation is kind of the equivalent, right, from EOD. It's a big deal. Like quests give 0.02 and stuff. Like it's nuts. So I think this is actually a massive deal because you can go and do those quests really early now, and it's like another set of Jaeger rep that you can get alongside the regular ones. So you can be able to get him much earlier than before. I think this is a really good change. Plus, you get I did Tarkov Shooter Part 3 today, and I was actually looking forward to it. I left it and waited until the beginning of this stream. Dude, I don't think you weren't there when we did it at the beginning. I literally did it in like the first couple of raids that I did. You get some APM ammo as a quest reward.
Okay, I know. Yeah.
One of the other two. You know where this is going. You know where this is going. And it's super early. I mean, what's today? Today is day 4 of the wipe. So here's me. I'm just like, right, guys, we've got 20 rounds of APM. We're taking the VPO with iron sights, because this is what I always do, and I do this every wipe, and it's fantastic. Normally it happens way later. I'm normally buying APM off the flea. And as somebody said, actually, if you take the rail off the iron sights, you get even more clarity, which I hadn't really thought of. But so I did that as well, and that actually helped even more. So you can see the ring more easily and da-da-da. So I was like, we have 20 rounds of APM with which to get 3 kills. And if we don't get it then, we're having to wait until later because I'm not doing it with like EKO or whatever.
Now that's the one you gotta be under 25, right? 25 meters.
25 meters.
Yeah,
exactly,
okay.
Exactly. And I had 2 of the like craziest, like best raids of my entire life. Honestly, it was absurd. There was like, I had like a fight at point blank with somebody, like I ran out of bullets and there was getting shot at with a pistol. I was like ducking and diving and weaving, getting shot at, and like eventually just blast this guy in the chest because APM, just to remind everybody, APM is like M80 on crack. It is actually one of the few rounds in the game that will one-tap people because it has 90 damage and 42 penetration. So people die, and especially this early, most players, especially on factory, because they think they're going to die, unless someone's going in really kitted, they tend to have either nothing or class 2 armor or class 3 armor. Even I actually would like to test whether it one-taps class 4. I don't think it should. Is what I think is the thing. But most people are not wearing class 4, or if they are, they're wearing like damaged ones or whatever, because then that also affects the penetration chance and also the mitigation. So anyway, we ran around on factory with the VPO with the APM ammo, and we got the 3 kills that we needed across 2 raids, and had 5 left. So I had one in the gun, I had 5 in the first mag, and no, 4 in the first mag, because that's what you can get in the VPO. And then I had 3 EKOs and 1 AP in the 2 other mags because I didn't want to lose it, right? If I died, I was just dude, I'm going to lose all my ammo, right? So I'm taking well, 5, 6, 7. So I had 7 on my person, and the rest of them in my secure container. Dude, honestly, it was insane. If anybody has like never tried doing it, I've done it for 3 wipes in a row. I used to really like hate that quest because it was the most in, and I used to get to it late because I was. But at that point, it was like second or third wipe or something. So I used to get to it really late. Everyone was like geared up. Then they changed it so that the thorax HP was too high, and they changed PS and stuff, and that just made it like you couldn't one tap anybody anymore because everyone was wearing too much armor and all this stuff. These days, like I get to that quest and I look forward to it so much. By the time we finished, my hands are like shaking. Like I had such insane. Honestly, it was insane. It was insane raids. I might even put something together on it because it was honestly
You should.
it was
That sounds
mental.
pretty.
It was some of the craziest raids I've had in 12, 12, 30 so far. And I did stir up straight after, and that was equally as like bonkers. Actually, today's stream, I streamed for like 4 hours. I didn't die once. It was actually insane. I had like a really, really crazy streak today.
Sounds like you got that adrenaline rush, and that just like you were able to ride that wave, dude. And
it was so good. I'm just going to lose every single raid tomorrow. That's for sure.
Yeah,
man, it was sick.
Just get up
to do it so early. To do the quest so early is great because Tarkov shooter is notoriously quite annoying, and to have it now is perfect because you've still got the ability to use the bolty and not just be completely scuffed. So I'm on to the one now. You have to get to the level 3, so you have to either use it a lot or reload or whatever. But I can do other scav quests with that gun now, and with the bolty. I don't need to wait because that's the problem. It's like by the time you normally get to Tarkov Shooter Part 4, where you have to get to level 3 sniper, normally you're like way past it, and you're using guns that are way better, and you don't want it. Oh god, and you have to like take a bolty with you to try and artificially pump it up, especially if you're not really a sniping type like me. I'm not, I don't really snipe that much. I never play with groups, and sniping solo on your own requires you normally to take in a lot of gear. Right? You normally need either a pistol with you or like a secondary or something. And I have been playing like UMP plus Bolty, but anyways, it's so nice to have it so early. It feels way more viable, and it's really good. And I don't know about the new 338 bolt action. We had a look at it on the fleet today when we got to it because you can obviously see it on the trader through the fleet interface, and it was like 100 and something thousand, 150k or something, 170k, and it said like locked behind the quest. So I imagine it's Jaeger 4 behind some quest. I don't know exactly what. I probably could actually go and look it up. I'm sure someone's got it already and found it, but
possibly.
Actually, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. So maybe that'll make Tarkov Shooter 8 a bit better. But yeah,
yeah,
that quest is really, really good.
Yeah,
I think Tarkov Shooter is awesome being there.
I didn't even recognize it whenever I got the quest until I watched your video. I was like, oh yeah, he's absolutely right. There's no way you get Tarkov Shooter day 2 of the wipe unless your name's Landmark Axel or whatever streamer. So it's like, yeah, that's actually a really nice change, and I like that. I like that a lot. I'm glad they did that. Makes a lot of sense. So there's been some other quest changes. We'll have to like wait and see. I've seen some stuff in passing. I'll just like rat off a few. I saw one of the spot tours. I think it's like 7. You get an RBST key, which is nice because then you can use that for the quest. For the, I think it's a mechanic quest on reserve. Maybe it's a peacekeeper quest on reserve. You got to go in an ST room and do a couple really things. Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, exactly. It saves you a ton of money having to pull the key. Which, man, playing squads the first day of wipe, dude, it's like, oh my god, dude. So many people are like just flustered because this person dies and now I can't do my quest because they had the 206 key and I don't. And it's just like, I could totally see how it's just like really annoying for squads to like play together, but actually play together and not just sit there. Anyways, so there's that. I saw Punisher Part 6 or whatever. Part 5, you get the BP unlock. Apparently now it's 12 PS12B, the Ash 12.
So you didn't need to do Grenadier anymore?
I don't know.
That used to be locked behind Grenadier.
Let's fact check it real quick. I'm gonna look up Punisher.
Oh, why does BP come then?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. Maybe
I'll look at BP if you look up Punisher Part 5.
Okay. Punisher Part 5. This is saying, okay, so this is still saying BP. Let me pull up the tweet I saw. Was it? Fuck, where did I see that?
It still says it on BP as well. Punisher Part 5. So
I think it was. I can't remember. I'd have to scroll through my tweets of the day. But anyways, it's something I saw in passing. I think that's interesting that you don't I don't know. We'll have to see, as I'm sure we'll come out with more information, have
Hmm.
more sources verifying different things, because who knows what else they change. So that's interesting. With quest changes, all seems really good changes in my book. The hideout though has had a ton of changes, dude. Crafts and requirements as well. So I don't know about you, but I can't find some damn multivitamins or some salt. I just bought some multivitamins that just unlocked the flea market. Surprisingly, this swipe I got junk box before flea market. That's historically not been the case. So fun little
I
fact
did as
there.
well.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. It's just like I've kind of had a pretty good experience so far, but
I think like for me, one of the things that I've found is just like chalking it down to all the streamer items. There's so many streamer items and
you
they
know
all sell for
what?
like 20, 30, 40, 50K.
Great point, dude. And dude, I've kind of done like two different play styles. Since I'm doing the mean kips, I'm not bringing in best gear. But if I'm literally going in just revolve a shotgun, 20 rounds of slugs, and a P.A.K.A., maybe not even a P.A.K.A., you know? Like, I have so much to gain in an empty container.
Yeah.
If I find anything of value, it goes in the container. One streamer item, one cyclone, whatever.
Mhm.
Like, half the stuff, my kit's instantly paid for, you know? So it's like, yeah, I didn't even think about that. All those streamer items. That's a good point because yeah, I've been selling teapots. I'm not doing Kappa, so I'm just like, yep, I'm not saving any of those. But yeah. So hideout changes. Let's talk hideout changes. Where are you at with your hideout? Because I only have the pooper level 1, workbench level 1, med station level 1, and generator. You know, I'm pretty low.
So if you had asked me this morning, I was basically nowhere, right?
Oh,
And
really?
so I was really, really stuck because I'm one of the very few people, it
Mm-hmm.
seems. It seems like there's me and about 5 other people who play Tarkov who cannot, for love nor money, find a damned measuring tape. Lots of people say they're everywhere. People are finding them nonstop. And me and this little group of like 4 people literally cannot find a measuring tape anywhere. I got to the flea and I bought a measuring tape for like 6K before I found one. It was absurd. So, but you can't build the security without it. And without
Without the
security, you
security.
can't build the generator.
Yeah.
And without the generator, you can't make freaking anything. So I
Yeah.
couldn't make Salewers.
Yeah, that's
Right. So
rough.
I found 2 of my Salewers. I had all the ingredients, but I couldn't turn the generator on to start the craft. So I was just like super stuck. So I couldn't even do the first. I had like 3 gas analyzers waiting. I like as soon as I got the final Salewa, I just was like just face piled right through like 4 quests in a row from therapist and just like jumped up loads. But as soon as we got that, as soon as we had that, had the generator, like had the workbench then going. Like right now I've got vents going to level 2 and I've got oh no, I just upgraded. Yeah, so events is going to level 2 at the moment. Security is going to level 2 right now. The laboratory is probably going to be finished by the time we're finished here. And then what else do I need to do? Like I'm on my way. To be honest, by the time I get back on, I probably will have the intelligence center like ready to make. I think because there's 2 prerequisites now. It seems I don't know whether it's easier or not. I'm not sure, but it's like security. Is it just security and vents that you need at level 2? I can't remember. I don't forget. But to be fair, level 1 in Intelligence Center was never the big deal. It was always
Right,
level
level
2 because that
2.
was the gateway to the Bitcoin farm, of which I'm not even sure if it's worth it this time, to be
Yeah, I'm
honest.
not
I mean,
sure either.
it probably is for level 1. Level 2, maybe. Level 3, oh, I think it's very, very, very
Yeah,
borderline
kind of
with the
close.
price of the coins. They're like, yeah, 110, 105, something like that. But anyway, yeah, so I had like nothing this morning. And then literally today, as soon as we got to the flea and bought that one measuring tape, it was just like, all action stations, everything's sprung to life. You know, I'm crafting wires. I'm like making Salewis. There's like the general. I've got like 6 cans of fuel just like lined up in my scav junk box. There's
Yeah.
like 4 metal ones and 2 blue ones. I found one in raid, and I was just like, I don't need any more fuel. I just left it. I was like, there's 6 slots. I've nowhere to put this even. I've got so much fuel. I just don't even know what to do with it right now. It's like 28K on the flea or whatever. I just don't even need to take this. There's no point. So now we're really, really steaming ahead. Now we got to the fleet because I'm just selling stuff and buying other things. The thing that I was like memeing around with chat today was just like joking about all the people who buy attachments off the flea market early. Is like I was just like, these RVG grips, like they're going straight out, like bang them out, 30K, right? Buy some bolts, sell an RVG, buy some screw nuts, whatever. Like sell an AFG Magpul 4 grip. I was just like, all these people can take all these meaningless attachments to change their gun recoil from 105 to 96 and get themselves four more ergonomics, which probably doesn't even hit like a frame ADS breakpoint. They probably can't even literally tell the difference, even if you slow mode it down and change and like watched it frame by frame. The ADS speed is probably like identical, and if anything, it probably ticks over like one frame a breakpoint or whatever. So like you enjoy that, and I'm going to take that 30k and I'm going to invest in my hideout instead. It was pretty funny. So that's where I'm at. I'm steaming ahead. But yeah, I was quite lucky and I got the tape sucks, but I got the Ololo like vitamins quite early. Obviously I couldn't do anything with the med station because I didn't have any power,
Right.
so I couldn't do anything, but I had
Which
it built
is
quite
like,
early, and I have a salt as well, so I can make the next station as I need to with that one.
see,
So those are the two new ones.
I've been really bad at this swipe of like being organized and planning ahead and min-maxing, but like, okay, I need to like loot this. I just been looting till I'm full and just getting out with like I was like, oh, I need to go here and do this, whatever, I'll figure on the fly. Like, I've been very loose, like shooting from the hip this swipe.
Mm-hmm.
But I did remember vividly seeing that I need a measuring tape in my security. I was like, oh yeah, measuring tape. Let me put that in my container. Thank God I did that, because I died that raid and it got put to use. And now that you're telling me this horror story, it sounds like a nightmare, which the more I think about it, it's like as they keep adding these barter items, they keep making the loot pools bigger and bigger. So it just becomes an increasingly more and more time sink, because you're just constantly churning the RNG lottery pool, right?
Exactly.
So you're just increasing the time investment of the player base that they have to do. Because if you're not lucky, then it's like, that's why I really like doing more skill-based or like survival-based stuff. Like if there was hypothetically, if there was like a measuring tape hard spawn, like guarantee 100% of the quest, it'd be more like, it's still a time investment, but at least I feel like I have more control over it. It's debatable on that, but anyways,
I know what you mean.
Anyway, pros and cons for sure. So that's hilarious, dude, because I didn't even think about that. That's like a big, yeah. It doesn't matter if you have everything else. If you don't have the security center, because you don't have the generator, you can't do anything.
I was just like, oh, it's fine. I'll just go and get a tape measure. It's no problem. And it's just like, just never appeared.
Yeah, just unlucky.
Fair, of all the things, I actually kind of didn't mind, because I was like, well, I know I'm just going to be able to like plow through all of it as soon as I get to the hideout, because I'm sure they'll be fairly cheap. But I got quite lucky because I found the Ololo vitamins, I found the salt, I got like the TOS really early, I got the Module 3M armor really early. Like a lot of the stuff that I needed there was pretty. I hardly do any jacket runs, and I found the 206 key before. Not that I could do it because I couldn't get through the Salema quest, so I only just did that one today. You know what's like a real sucker is that, when you're looking at these barters, you're like, oh, I'm like so smart, like doing all these barters.
Oh
like,
my God, I saw that video. I was like, that is so GigaBeef, dude.
Is that the one from today?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that one in a second, but even I know it is so me. I love it. Honestly, I love it. I don't think anyone else has noticed, but like yeah, it takes a special kind of obsession to notice stupid things like that. But like the one step before that is the one I was talking about previously. If you want the dorm's office key, then you can do like the 2 green iced teas and the 2 squash, and then the 4 crackers. But you can buy the crackers from therapists. You only need 2 of 2. So I was like, I got to 2 squashes and 1 green tea, and I kept going to the back of interchange and having like crazy fights. They seem to have nerfed that food spot quite a lot. There's like mostly juice and things. There's not as many kind of sodas and the stuff that you need for like holodilnic and that kind of thing. So I think they've like nerfed that quite a bit. So I went over and over, and then finally I was like, oh, let me just see how much the dorm's customs office key actually is on the flea market. And I was like, oh, it's 24k. So I just bought it. I'm like 1 green tea off being able to do the barter, and I was like, it's like you got to the finish line, and then someone just like moved the finish line to you, and you're just like, oh, you did it, and it's like, oh, it kind of like took the wind out of my sails a bit. I was like, well, I've got the thing, but
that's the flea market. The finish line goes to you. You don't go to the finish line.
Yeah, a little bit, because I got so close as well, and I was like, I just need 1 more ice green tea, and then it was just like, you can just buy it for the price of like 1 bolt.
Yeah. How many gold chains have you found this swipe?
A couple, like 3, 4.
Okay, so potentially enough to do the barter for gold chains. I have found 1, maybe 2. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I look at these barters. It's like 7 pile of meds for the 206 key. I just don't know, man. That's
a
a
lot
lot
of one item.
because like maybe if I could craft them, but you can't craft the pile of meds. So I'd have to like hit the lottery a bunch of times to get 7 pile of meds. Or I could just do something completely else, level up to 15, sell
exactly. That's
sell
what I did in the end.
anything. It's just like I don't know, man.
I did
It's
Tarkov shooter and I did stir up and got myself to level 15.
yeah.
And then I was like, now I can buy everything I need. I did want to. There was something interesting that I thought that I thought that you'd enjoy because I was looking through the med station crafts as well, and like some of the other crafts, just to figure out what was the good stuff or not. And they changed the hemostat bar, the hemostat craft, which I thought was interesting. And I thought you'd find this interesting in particular because the hemostat you can't buy, right? You can't buy them from therapists at the beginning. But when you can, I think they're what, like 4K, 5K, something like that. But there's a new craft in the hideout, which I'm sure you've probably seen, which is 1 pile of med plus a hemostat makes a new hemostat. So you can go in with a 1 out of 3 hemostat, add a pile of meds to it, and then get a new hemostat. And I was like, well, this is kind of useless because pile of meds are quite expensive. But they're not at the beginning of the wipe. And what's quite interesting is that you can take, even if you're not using them, you can take your hemostats that you got given at the beginning, combine them with a pile of meds that's like 4K, and what it does is the pile of meds imbues the hemostat with the find in raid tag, which means you can then sell it. And because they sell on the flea for like 20K.
Oh my god!
It's worth using the pile of med just to literally imbue it with this statistic that it allows you to sell it, because it's just like you take
so
one non-find in raid hemostat and you turn it into a find in raid hemostat, and now you're allowed to sell this on the flea market because you've rubbed a pile of med all over it for 40 minutes or whatever. Which I thought you'd find really funny because you like the idea of like washing things through the flea.
I didn't even think about that, dude.
Yeah, it was funny. We were thinking about the ramifications of it today on stream, which is quite entertaining.
Dude, so that means you could loot players' hemostats, assuming they have it, not in a container, and then turn it into a found in raid.
Which they probably will, because it'll be on them, because it'll be keybound.
Yeah, dude, that's so interesting. I see. What I was thinking is, I kind of liked it because the other one I saw was the CMS kit got changed to a car kit and med tools. And watching your video, I was like, you could kind of do like a similar thing where you use the car kit to 1 out of 200 or whatever it is, and then recycle it. And it's kind of interesting because, like, well, do I keep it? Like, do I keep this 10K 2-slot item that's 1 out of 20 and I can slot for the craft, or do I just ditch it and take something more valuable? Like, I don't know. It makes more sense to take something more valuable.
Kind of interesting, yeah.
But it's kind of interesting to be like, okay, I came out of the raid, survived. I had this on me. I can now convert it to something else that's like kind of useful instead of just like vendoring for 87 rubles or whatever it goes. But dude, that is some pure alchemy shit. That is some like pure witchcraft, dude. Just like, oh yeah, sprinkle the pile of meds over it. Boom, it's sellable on the flea market. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so did you like the one today, the video today? I thought the title of today's video is genius. What did I call it?
I'm about to pull it up right now.
I called it How a Can of Salmon Could Save Your Early Wipe.
Yeah, dude, that's actually a pretty good title.
I really thought it was fun.
I do remember reading that, and I was like, what is he talking about? And that's good, because it's like, I'm intrigued. Exactly. Like, what is he talking about?
And it's true. So I was like, I suddenly realized, we were looking at it on stream, and I was like, you can, I was like, I need these. Because basically the problem was, is I realized that I'd used all my car med kits, because, I use car med kits, right? I use them anyway as my normal med. And I do the hemostat plus car. By the way, they've changed them to like 11,000. It's like over 11K now. They used to be like 7.
I thought they got more expensive.
They've gotten a lot more expensive. I've got like screenshots of basically like everything going back to whenever, and every time we go through a new patch, like everything just like ticks up slightly. I'm like, guys, like it's the inflation every time. It's just like things tick up, which is probably all right. But anyway, so I was looking at it and I was like, oh god damn it! I was like, I've used all of my car med kits because I used them all in raid. I was like, they never used to be used for anything before. I was like, geez, I could have made Salemas out of them. This is ridiculous. Well, obviously not realizing, because I went and built them. I was really excited because I built the multivitamins. I built the med center, and then I was like, I can't turn on the generator. So that kind of took the wind out of my sails. But I was like, well, I still need to find these car kits. And I was looking through, and that's when I was looking at it. I was like, like, hang on a second. There's a barter here for a humpback salmon. I was like, it's not one that I've ever really looked at before, because cars are normally so cheap, and normally humpbacks are about 10K. So if you buy them for 7, it doesn't really matter. And then I was like, I wonder if there's any other way to get humpbacks, and go right click, because now you can use the flea interface. It's so much easier to figure it out. I was like, hang on a second, you can barter 2 toothpastes for a humpback. I was like, there's not any barters for the toothpaste, are there? And then we like right click on it and just like you could get the orthodontox toothpaste and change them into normal toothpaste. I was like, okay. So if you get 8 of those, you can change them into 4 of the normal toothpaste, and that can turn into 2 of the humpbacks, which then you can turn into 2 car med kits. Then you put them through the hideout, you use the mangle, through they go, and out comes a finely raised Salewa, and then you can complete the quest.
Oh
All you
my
have to do now is complete that
God.
3 times. So in theory, you could turn
8.
what is it? 24 orthodontox toothpaste into
Yeah.
3 Salewas using the S marches that you can buy. I was like, again, I was like, this is pure alchemy. I love this. Like the barter chain is so good because I've spoken before about the whole.
Yeah.
Which one is it? It's the it's one of the juices, and then you buy the juice, and then
Yep.
you get the slickers, and then you take the slickers, and then you
And
buy
get
the
scav
the
vest.
scav vest, and then you take the scav vest, and then you
Mm.
craft them in the lavatory, and you make the rip stop,
Yeah,
and then you
rip
take the
stop.
rip stop, and then you barter that for a strand hog or something,
Right.
or whatever else. Or just I used to just sell them on the flea, but in theory you could do a barter with them too. I'm just like that's like I kind of like those chains. I quite like them. I was like, this has been someone set this up on purpose for sure. So I was like, this is genius. I love it.
It's interesting. I just don't know. Like, I'm sure someone out there, like, it's actually kind of nice because, like, in theory, let's say I had 2 toothpastes, or sorry, 1 toothpaste and 2 orthonos and 1 humpback. I could still get to the Salewa through all these different barters.
Exactly.
It gives you a lot of options, which is nice. So, it's kind of cool. It's there actually.
I nearly did it. So if I'd had the generator, I would have used the toothpaste to get the humpback to get 1 more car kit to do the Salewa, but I couldn't make it. So I was like, people were like, oh, you can use your toothpaste now because I had 3. So I had 1 for the lavatory already, and I had another 2. People were like, oh, you should do it, and I was like, I can't turn the generator on. So I was like, I'm gonna leave them there because I might just find a Salewa. Then I didn't need to do the barter. So I left it there to leave my options open. But like if I'd managed to find that stupid tape, I would have actually legitimately used the toothpaste one to get the humpback and done pretty much the full chain to get 1 extra car kit because I think I had 1 remaining from a Prapor quest or something, and I needed 1 more. So I was like, well, I either need, and that's the thing, I found 2 Salewas, right? And this is why it was like critical for me because I was like, I either need 1 car kit or 1 humpback or 1 toothpaste or 2 orthodontox toothpaste. Like I need like 1 of any of them really. It reminded me a little bit of the Diablo 2 Heradric Cube. That was like you never played D2, did you?
Nope.
There was a gem system in there where you had it was kind of like you had like crappy gems all the way up to like perfect gems kind of thing. And it was just like funny. There was like about 7 different tiers, and 3 of the lower tier would make 1 of the tier above. And so in theory, you could combine together like it was some stupid scaling thing. It's like you'd have to combine together like 2,500 of the lowest tier would get like the highest one. Because it's one of those things where it's like every time it multiplies out by 3, like you very quickly end up with an enormous number.
Yeah.
And when there's enough tiers, it's like it becomes something stupid. But it sort of reminded me of that, and that's like I got fond memories of just like combining gems up, just like in your stash. It's like almost a mini game of its own. I'm sure people who played D2 will remember that. It was good, but I was like, this is a me thing. I like this. This is excellent.
Yeah, this swipe I ended up finding all of them because I just felt like there were so many new hideout requirements. Like I'm pretty sure the measuring tape hasn't changed, the spark plug hasn't changed, but the multivitamins, I just didn't get lucky enough. Like in previous swipes, I've crafted them, so I didn't get to take advantage of any death crafts to do Salewa, so I ended up having to
Did
find
you find
them all.
all, by the way? Did you
I
find
did.
all for the lavatory? You found
got
one.
Off a player and
Okay.
immediately went in my butt.
Yeah, they're really hard to get.
Yep.
There seems like there's enough, but like because they weren't that expensive on the flea, but because most people just need like 1.
I really just think there's just so many loopholes. So like to jump on another change, quickly here is gas analyzers. I've found that was like pretty easy. I don't think I found them in filing cabinets, but what I did find in filing cabinets was green batteries, which those apparently were not supposed. Like last swipe, that wasn't. I don't think that was the case. I'm fairly confident.
I haven't found any this swipe.
Yeah, I've gotten like 2. I don't know. Okay. So I don't know. It seems like they've added a lot of new stuff. Like I've seen military flash drive, you can. I hope I'm not spoiling anything for anyone here, but one thing I did see is you can take all the little maps, and I am gonna spoil this. Let me not say anything. I'll save it. I'll save it for later.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll save it because I think you might enjoy it. I enjoyed it. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, was there anything
There's
else
tons of
about-
new crafts. Like they added a bunch of new tools. The stuff that you get back. Like for
Yeah, there's,
example,
like, files.
even though I
for example.
have a lavatory, I still need another all to do half the crafts. I can just buy one. And we're gonna see how that plays out. I'm not too sure. Like one of the things I saw they changed too was the MMAC barter requires some other item. I think it's a whiskey.
So we were talking about this today.
Yeah, which is like,
It just kills it, right?
That might have killed it. I don't know.
Back to the rat rig. It's only 55k.
But can't wait to level up to Ragman and have them all sold out constantly. It's gonna be fun. So yeah, we'll see how this plays out with the whole, because this is gonna be the first. Like, that's the other thing to remember. I was pretty disappointed in the patch overall. Like, it just felt like we were missing. Like, what was the big thing? The rogue bosses? Okay, great. We got 3.
And the lighthouse expansion, which I think is basically meaningless because it's like a spit of land with a bit of loot.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. There's not really, like, there's new animations, new movement, progression changes. Once we get into it, then we start seeing a lot of stuff that you didn't mention, which is exciting. And getting back into it, there is no Tarkov experience like a wipe experience. Like, there's just not, you just can't compare. So I've really kind of gotten back into it sucked me back in. But
I knew it would. It's good.
He said I do. Yeah, day 1 I was like, I won't play. Day 2, I'll play a little bit. 8 hours later. So,
he's like, where's my all? I need it all.
Yeah, I'll just play for 2 hours. 8, yeah, literally. So we got to keep in mind that there's been changes done to progression in the middle or towards the end of the wipe. Like, for example, the whole tool coming back when you use it in the craft thing. There's got to be a better word for that phrase. I don't know.
I think they're called auxiliary tools.
Auxiliary tools. Thank you.
Them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. God, what else have they done that's been changed? I can't even think. There was something else that came to my mind, but nonetheless, I'm excited to see how the wipe progresses in terms of progression.
Yes, for sure. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think once we get into the meat of it, after we get past some of these changes, there will be there's some barter changes, some armor changes, that kind of stuff. It'll be interesting to see what's happened with, I think if you can still just buy BP, I don't know, and some of the recoil. I mean, I guess this is what we should talk about next. I mean, I know we're going on a little bit, but we do need to touch on it. But I don't think there's very much to say. Is about weapon rebalances. Hooray! There weren't any. Boo. Basically, they seem to have changed the semi-auto, the SMGs a little bit, based on the stats that we've seen released by Logical Solutions and those groups, whatever. If I hadn't have been told that they'd been changed, I personally would have not been able to tell. Yeah. I think it's very, very minor. I have pictures and videos of the spray patterns from 12.12, which I did on purpose for the level 1 guns, just so I could kind of check if anything was different. And in the end, I never even, I put a couple of them in one of the videos, but I never really did it seriously because I was like, these are basically the same. And I don't think they've made any changes to any of the 5.56 recoils. I don't think they've changed anything to do with the VSS or the VAL. They haven't changed it. All they did was decrease some of the recoil on things like the MP5, the Clin, a few things like that, and the UMP of all things.
That was a bit of a red flag. Like, I haven't got my hands.
No recoil anyway. So
no, I haven't got my hands on it, dude. I have 28 freaking knives waiting for the barter, but it's always sold out. I bought a bunch off fence.
Really?
Yeah, I can't get my hands on the ump, dude. Can't get my hands on the ump.
I had one really early. I actually ended up buying. I think people kind of didn't think they'd be on fence straight away, and I looked and I was like, oh, they actually are. And you had to sit and refresh a few times. I ended up buying I bought 3 or 4.
No, that's fine. I have the knives. I'm saying I can't actually turn them in to get the ump because the ump barter's sold out.
Yeah, it must be people. People must have just figured out or something. I don't know, because when I was on first, it didn't really. Yeah, on day one, I bought probably five. Yeah, in total, I probably bought about 7 or something in so far.
I
I've never seen it
probably
sold out on my servers. Maybe it's also because I was doing it early in Europe too. I don't know.
I probably didn't wait. See, day one, I tried. I got like 1 or 2, but I didn't sit there and like keep refreshing and checking. You know, I tried like maybe 2 or 3 times. I was like, okay, I can't get any more knives, whatever. So,
Yeah. Okay.
and then now
Yeah.
later in the wipe, I'm having this. Anyways,
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is a great gun." I mean,
I
it's the same.
I do feel confirmation bias here. I do feel like the PP19 and the MP5 are like better than what I remember. Like I just vividly remember the PP19 being like utter fucking trash, like
A
puking
lot of people are talking
emoji.
about camera recoil changes.
Oh really?
I
I haven't
haven't been
seen
able
this.
to. I know I haven't been able to verify anything. There's lots of people talking about camera recoil changes, but how it feels better. Da, da. I'm not sure how much like copium there is floating around in the system. I feel like
Yeah,
there's quite a bit because I can't really tell, but I don't know now. I feel like now that so many people have said it, I'm like, is there something to this? Like, is there? Because basically when I used the stock M4, well, I went back to my stash and I sold it. So
yeah.
but
No, I
it
saw
was
that.
trash.
Good move.
Like
Yeah,
90 recoil, like it's disgusting. It's got like double the recoil pattern of all of the other, like all the SMGs,
yeah,
and M855 is just not that good.
yeah,
So like it's all right, it's okay,
yeah,
50 damage and 28 pen or something. But I mean, who cares? And like day one doesn't matter. Like having 90 recoil is just absurd, and at 800 RPM, it just doesn't work. You know, the MP5 has got 800 RPM, but it's got 50 recoil, and it's just completely different ball game. You can
yeah,
actually there's a semi-auto gun of the M4 when it's stock. You just can't fire it full auto. Basically, you just have to put it on semi. You may as well have an ADA.
yeah.
It's not good. So I don't think they've done any changes to that. I'm actually kind of disappointed. Lots of people saying, "Oh, if they fix 5.56," I had a lot of comments of people saying like, you know, any changes to 5.56, and I'm like, you know, the ammo is honestly okay. Like the ammo's fine. Like 56A1 is pretty powerful. 55A1 is like fit for purpose. It's a little bit underpowered based on like rogues and bosses and raiders and
That's
like
the thing,
PvE because
right?
of all the health, sure.
Yeah.
But against like in PvP, like it's okay, it's fine. I ended up using the M4 quite a bit just because messing around. I had loads of them in the pre-wipe events with M9 and 5, and it was honestly it was good. Like I actually killed loads of people with it. It was quite nice going back to the M4 in some ways because like building up super meta kitted ones with like 0 recoil, and then it's like all right, and has high RPM. But you have to. That's the thing is, it was never really worth the money. It was only worth it when everything was 1 ruble, because there were better guns for the job. But
Yeah,
it was,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's got good fire rate and stuff. But I think it's 80% the guns problem and 20% the ammo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel the same. And I don't I just think with their recoil system, man, they just don't have a good way. They can get like really close to a good equilibrium, but that line is so thin because it's either like it's completely useless. Oh my god, this thing's literally the vow of patch, 12.10 or whatever it was. That I don't know.
Yeah,
That's my thoughts on
it's
it.
really hard. It's really really hard. So for the time being, we're basically just in exactly the same situation as we were last time. So the MP is really good. The MDR is middle of the pack. I don't know, like it's just it's just a weird one. 5.56 is just not going to be good until you hit 56A1 though, because M855 is so bad. Like you don't have the equivalent of like PP, BP, BT all the way up through that route. I guess 56 is the same as BT in many ways, but you don't have that like stepwise progression like
Mm-hmm.
you do in 545. And so I think that's why 545 will work quite well in the mid game. It's like you can only buy T at the beginning, which is 57 damage and 20 pen, which is pretty trash. And then you can buy PS after doing delivery from the past. And then you can buy PP. And then you can buy BP. And then you can buy BT. Whereas 556 goes like M855, 50 damage and 28 pen. Then you have to complete all of Skier's tasks up to the
Right.
USBs. You have to do
Right.
all of Peacekeeper's tasks up to the cult. And only then do you unlock 56A1. And you go from 50 damage and 28 pen to 51 damage and 37 pen. It's like all of a sudden it's become like competitive overnight. And then you don't get anything else until 55A1, which is 45 pen. And then you can actually deal with class 5. But it's just the ammo for 545 is so much more nuanced. I know people don't like 545. I actually think people rag on it a bit too much. I know it's because the fire rate is kind of low and the ammo is like low damage. And so that doubly compounds makes it bad. But I don't know. I think in the mid game it's going to be good. I just think like 556 is just like it's not going to be worthwhile until much later.
Yeah.
Whereas like 555 might actually be alright in the mid game.
And see, that's the thing. It's like exactly what you're saying. I think the mid game 545 makes more sense because the AKs are easier to mod, you have more accessibility. They don't have crazy recoil, and like you can put some effective mods on them, like rubber butt pads, and just a muzzle, and you're good to go. Whereas like an M4, for example, you actually need a lot of mods to make it like good, and you don't even have good ammo till like much later. By that time, you can probably build out a 90% meta AK and have PP ammo. That's like it's very cost effective comparatively to the M4 platform. And that's the thing, is like the M4s could be really appealing early wipe because they would have high rate of fire and the ammo is not too bad, but the recoil is so insane. It's just like that rate of fire is just null. Like it's not even a factor.
Exactly. You're just like, well, no, like I don't need the 28 pen necessarily. I'd rather just use like an MP5 and have half the recoil for the same fire rate.
Yeah.
Or a Kedda, even fast fire rate. Or PPSH. And I've been using the PPSH at the beginning of the wipe. It's honestly amazing. It's really good. I just spray at people's general direction and they die. I've been getting like headshots, like leg mettering people. So like trying to decide on that decision. Yeah, it's really scary. The number of people that I've actually killed a surprising number of people where like we've engaged each other. I've just basically gone like eyes closed, and then you just hear in the distance, and you're like, got him. And it's just like, you just pull down and to the right to compensate for the fact that it always pulls left systematically and up, obviously, but like it pulls left, properly left. So you have to pull it down in like a little angle. Once you get that down, it's just like brap, right? And like 35 rounds so early. Bad. It's insane. And it's 7 shots to the leg, or obviously 1 shot to the head. Most people aren't wearing helmets or whatever, and you can get them in the eyes, ears if they're wearing even if they're wearing like the SSH helmet, the ears are unprotected or whatever. But like sometimes it's just easier to spray 7 rounds into people's feet than it is to try and get a headshot and end up having some of them go over the shoulders or hit the arms or hit the thorax where you don't do any damage. Sometimes you just go. I had one. There's quite a few actually where someone starts firing at me and I just fire, and like rather than even just like keeping it still, I just like wiggle the mouse a little bit, just like proper like hose people down, like and then they die. It's actually really satisfying. So that's been really good, honestly. That's been really good.
Yeah, I just got like level 2 traders because I hit 15. I didn't get Peacekeeper or Ragman, of course, but I saw Prepper as a barter for a drum map for the PPSH. I'm like, I know when I'm running next raid. It's 2 weapon. It's 2 weapon parts, so it's a little pricey. It's actually very pricey.
Yeah, but what's that, like 20k or something? Was it more than that? It might be more at this point in the wipe.
You could craft it yourself, but you're still spending it because you could sell it. The crafts, I don't. It's I would do it for the memes, just the real like Giga Chad PPSH early wipe funsy. But yeah, to finish that point earlier, it's like, I think it just comes down to ecosystem, because the more I think about it, because the convergent stats and the rate of fire and the dispersion, whatever, all that bullshit, 545 feels better because it has lower rate of fire. So even though you may have the same, like I can't take the M4 and manually shoot it slow because I'm not getting the benefits of the full auto convergence factor being applied. So it's like the rate of fire is almost, and recoil stats are like really important. Like, how does that stack up with the hidden stats? It's so weird, man. So I really think they're in a hard spot with that system.
I found an M4 in a box today, and I was just like, we got it out of raid.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know which poor fool's gonna buy this for 89,000 rubles, but that's the cheapest price on the market. I was just like, up it goes. I was just like, best of luck to you, whoever buys this.
For soul.
I thought it was going to be like 60, but they're actually really expensive. I was astounded.
Yeah.
I think it must be people who don't know, or people who just like think, oh well, the M4, or haven't played last wipe. I don't know. There must be enough people.
Yeah.
And they're not that common to find in raids. So like you can't, like as you say, right, you can't even mod it. You can't really mod it until level 3 traders. You can't really mod it at level 2. I've tried. Like hell, I've tried. Yeah, I've tried
You,
in the past,
I
even
think
back
you
when the
can
traders were like, you know,
change the buttstock. You can put on a different handguard, and that's about
mm,
it, right?
and a foregrip, and they all suck.
Yeah, and
And it
can
goes
you
from like 90 recoil to like 78 or something.
can you even change the pistol grip from a trader? I don't think you can. Do they even have a
Maybe not a
pistol grip?
two,
I
a
don't think
level
so.
two. I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, if you can, it's like
It's like two ergo more or
goes
something.
from 5 to like 6.5. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
meaningless. I don't know.
yeah, it's gross.
So I think that's that, man. Like that's the hidden stuff. I mean, I feel like I'm missing something, but I'm looking at my notes. I don't see
Yeah,
anything
I mean,
here.
what else is there that was actually happened and changed? That we talked about quests, we talked about progression, talked about the hideout, talked about the various weapons and the ammo. Anything else like super critical? Just think of like prices of things. Like I was looking around on the flea, but everything seems like relatively normal. There was a couple of items that seems a bit strange. Things like crickets I've just not really found. And when I looked on the flea, there weren't any. There was like no dry fuel either because you need quite a lot of it for some of the hideout modules. So there's some items that do seem like kind of like more sparse than I think they have been previously.
Well, I wonder if that's a part of the change to the hideout crafts because if you,
Maybe.
for example, past dailies and past quests that require me to find and raid a cricket, I don't really need a found and raid cricket anymore because I every time I do a craft for it, I get it back, right? Maybe I need
Mm,
two so I can do two different crafts, two different
yeah.
stations. But in that case, why would I ever loot a cricket, right? Because also
Mm,
it's just like you think too is like, what's the value of a cricket? Well, other people probably are doing the same thing, so like there's probably not a lot of demand for the cricket. You know what I mean? Because once you buy it once you have it, you never need it again in theory.
yeah.
So in some ways, it kind of makes sense that there might not be a lot of crickets on the market because now people are looting it because they've already looted it and they're done with it.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
Maybe
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
we'll
know.
see. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about.
I did feel like the market now, mind you, I just unlocked it today. It's been 4 days since white, but I did feel like prices were like not that crazy.
Yeah, they're not insane. Everything's obviously pumped a bit,
Yeah,
but it's not like it's not mental. It's not mental. Like I bought
yeah.
one of the car batteries for like 130. I think it's so easy to make your money back on other stuff though. That's the thing. Because I was like
That's
selling handguards for like four grips or whatever for like 30K and stuff. But like yeah, some of these items used to be like 400,000 or whatever back in the
yeah.
day.
I'm about to pull a Tarkov market right now because dude, that sounds
Hmm.
really cheap, man. A car battery for 140K. That sounds so cheap. Let me
It
see
was
this,
cheap.
dude. I'm not signed in. Wait, log in.
Like what else is kind of expensive? Packet of screws was really expensive.
Okay, shooting range. That makes sense. Because you need
Yeah,
like,
because like I haven't even built that, but I needed it for maybe laboratory or something. I needed like five,
yeah,
and there was sometimes it was like random. Like it was up at like 200K, and then someone bought that, and then it was up at 90, and then there were none, and then someone put five up at like 40K. It's like random, dude. Like you just have to wait until someone puts it up for a sensible price. I think the guy who put it at 200, like his flea market fee probably was about 200K as well.
hmm.
Apparently they reverted that, by the way. Apparently they reverted the flea market fee.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Um, which is interesting. I mean, I'm kind of, yeah, I don't know.
What does it say? Are you in?
I'm looking at it and I'm not too because if you break it down by 7 days, when the wipe happens, its peak was 333,000. So that's like
Hmm.
it's the first person to unlock the flea market,
Yeah.
whatever the bot or however they get their data captured. I think it captures a screenshot. So like whenever they get the flea market, then they can start putting out
Right.
information. But and then if you go 6 months ago, December. Can I see yeah? So I have to do a year chart. It takes the current snapshot. Today's peak is 188K, whereas 6 months ago, back in December, it's a 109K.
Hmm.
But mind you, when I did the 7 day, it said the peak was I don't know how it averages. I don't know, whatever. It's
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I
I
look
don't
like right
know.
now, I'm gonna look actually on the fleet. I've just opened
Okay.
Tarkov. So right now, you could buy a car battery for 165,000.
Okay.
They're a bit higher than they were earlier, but yeah, I mean, I got one for
It's
140.
maybe it's
Not
reasonable.
not that bad. Not that
Maybe
bad.
it's
How much are tank batteries? This is a good question. I don't
yeah,
even know if there are any.
that is a good
Oh, I don't even
question.
know if there are any. Is it called just tank battery?
I think so.
Battery? Oh no, it's called the 610.
Oh yeah, that's right.
610 140 military battery. They are 542,000.
See, according to this last swipe, they were going for around 800,000, 750.
I remember them being over 1 million at one stage.
Yeah.
Whether that was last wipe or the wipe before, I'm not sure, but they were very expensive. And then graphics cards, interestingly, are 190k.
I mean, I would graphics cards, they kind of go up and then they kind of go down, but because Bitcoin's so cheap right now, maybe they're not. I don't know. This market stuff's kind of like a little too foo-foo for me.
I think people are going to want to finish their hideout just for progression's sake. So
Yeah,
I think they'll still be kind of expensive, even if it's not like worth it per se.
sure.
I think people just want to do it to finish it because, like, what else are they going to do with their money? Spend it on more slicks or something? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
speaking of that, by the way, this I got like the best RNG ever, and I've still been rocking this. I think this has partly been a contributing factor to how today I just did not die at all. I found a ULAC in a stash, and I also found a brand new piece of armor, the Tasmanian Tiger SK plate carrier, which is it has 4 2x1 slots in the rig. It is ceramic, unfortunately, but it is class 6 and it is Thorax only. And I've been running around factory and customs with this thing, basically like the Terminator, just impossible. I've got my eyes and my jaws that are exposed. Everything else is at least class 4 and a class
Dude,
6 on the thorax, and it's just like it's balling because like no one has.
Giga Chad.
I've run into very few shotties actually. Day one, I was running into loads, and now I'm hardly running into any. And because no one's running like high damage round weapons, having the stomach exposed is actually okay at the moment. It won't be later, but right now it's fine because everyone's using SMGs that do like 50 damage per bullet, or they're using 545 or 556, and again, it's doing about 50, 40, something like that. So the stomach can take a bit of a beating, and it's all right. So running around with the classics, I was a bit worried about it at first, but hardly anyone's using a shotty now, I find. I don't know why that is. But anyway, it's basically made me immortal.
Yeah. I when you were telling that story, I went and typed in slick into the flea market search and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. You can't buy armor on the flea market
Yeah.
anymore. Was that last swipe as well? 1212?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. That's what contributed towards such a good patch, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I mean, the most expensive body armor, well, the Trooper is arguably the best body armor that you can buy
Okay.
now, because you can't buy anything class 5 off the fleet anymore. And the Trooper is 150,000
It's pretty pricey.
for a Trooper. I think it's very pricey for a Trooper. If I had one, I would sell it there
Yeah. I would
instantaneously,
too.
to be honest with you. Yeah,
Cool.
it's interesting. Interesting. I think that's it, dude. I think that's it.
Yeah. I do have one last comment. This is just kind of like my short white
Oh yeah.
story. I was doing a meme thing where I was role playing as the Lone Ranger brother, playing like Western music, whatever. So I took the BK-18 or whatever it's called, the break action Mosin thing, went in the woods, got on top of the rock. I saw this guy running, right? I saw something running. I mean, he had to have been 100 meters. I'm on top of the rock, looking at Sawmill. To my left is like the top, like the cabins. There's 3 cabins, and then like on top of it, you got like some random construction stuff, whatever. He's like running towards the stacks of logs, right? But I'm noticing when he's running, he's like giga stuttering, dude. Like it's like
Really?
PowerPoint. Yeah, and it's like random. Like his stutters are like, but when he's walking, he's fine. He's smooth, and it looks really smooth. So I managed to take the shot, got him with the headshot, dude.
No.
I was pretty blown away. I was just like, whatever, YOLO. And yeah, I don't know. The story there is I'm not sure what that was about because it was really bad. I
Mm,
wonder how it would look if I had a scope. Because I was only using irons. So I don't know if
yeah.
that's like a rendering thing plus the new animations they added and then the changes there. I thought it was just something interesting and I want to like keep an eye on that because it was like I couldn't take the shot until he was walking slash standing still. It was just gonna be
Right.
impossible.
Yeah, maybe they broke like the network aliasing with the new animations or something, or they like need to like
Possibly.
rework it and tie it back in or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. So I guess we'll see. Yeah, I've not done really any long range shooting at all. I did manage to pick up a Valde like very early on, but I've not really used it yet.
Hmm. Any
But
interesting stories from you? I know you had that one crazy rampage of the
dude, otherwise my
AP.
crazy rampage on factory, honestly, I was like I've actually it's been a long time since I've been like that elated
Hmm.
in Tarkov. I was like borderline like laughing out loud on stream because I was like it was like adrenaline plus kind of like I don't know it was really weird. It was the most fun I've had in ages, and surviving through it as well. I think it's because it was just such small odds. It was honestly absurd. It was honestly absurd. It was like an absurd like 20 minutes of factory. It was ridiculous. And completed Tarkov Shooter 3 and Stir Up in like 4 raids back to back without dying in like the most ridiculous like I used an entire IFAK on myself after one of them. It was just insane. It was insane, man. I mean, other than that, I don't know. I've had quite a few sort of frustrating moments just trying to tighten up my own play, I think. Trying to get actually like really focus on playing PvP well and not be
Yeah.
lazy. Because I think I caught myself at the end of last wipe being like really lazy with my PvP and just kind of not really caring because like I had enough money, so it didn't really matter if I die, which meant that I was just like running stupidly into stuff and not even just like shift W playing, but just like playing just like really lazily and running around and not really paying attention. And so running around the corner and just like swinging on people and like swinging into duos and stuff and just like coin flipping with people. It's like not
Yeah.
it's not how you win. And I had a couple of really good raids towards the end of the pre-wipe events that we did that I don't know, I was like really meticulous about like my positioning, like about my leaning and my peeking and like running away and getting cover and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I really need to like focus on this. And I think it's actually getting better. It's definitely getting better, but like it's so hard because you have to like play so deliberately when you want to really win, especially when you're playing solo, because the number of times you come up against like duos and stuff, and it's like it's really, really tough. You have to use every advantage that you can get and be really, really on point all the time. Um, I mean, have I had any other like ridiculously good ones? Not so much. I mean, today went like amazingly well. I had a couple of moments where I got caught in a really awkward spots and just died horribly. Like I had one where I managed to find a Salewa on woods, but I needed to get to outskirts, and I was all the way at village,
Oof.
and I was kind of at the northern UN roadblock extract
Yeah.
part of village. I was like, man, this is a long way, and I could hear a big gunfight going on sort of towards Emacom, but I was like, well, look, I'm just by the time I get there, I'm sure they'll be gone. And I went all the way around the outside, like past the old railway station, past the regular UN roadblock,
Oh
all the way
my.
down to like RUAF, down to the rocks where you can snipe down onto the Emacom thing. As
Yeah.
I got to the rocks, I heard somebody run to the extract,
Uh
and I was like, huh, okay. I was like, well, I'm just gonna chill here for a bit. Then I continued down towards the water's edge, and as I got down to the waterline, like literally a duo comes running straight out of Emacom. I was like, this was so stupid because like normally this would work just fine, but because everyone's looting that spot and then trying to go to the RUAF roadblock on Woods, it's just like the chance of meeting someone there is way higher than it would be otherwise. And I was not just going to lie down and hope they don't see me because that just never normally works. Like if
Yeah.
you've seen them easily, they've almost certainly seen you easily. It's like one of the rules that I've always learned over this time. So I ran back up to the rocks as fast as I could, but there was nowhere else I could go. I couldn't get to the next bit with the little boxes, and I had like the revolver shotgun and the VPO because I was doing like the Tarkov shooter. And so I was like, right, I'm just gonna have to meet these guys head on, and I could like hear them coming up, and I gave them like the best that I could, like shot at the one, shot him twice, like hurt him, and then got shot by the second guy coming around the side. But I was like, at least I tried. Like at least I tried. There was like I've had a few situations where I'd been in a building. I was like in one of the woods village buildings, and it was kind of sus. I don't like there was a duo. Like I was just looting in the building, and then I heard people running like quite far away. So I stopped and I just waited, and just waited, and just waited, and just waited. And I heard them coming in. I'm like, right, I'm just about ready to go. And the guy comes around the corner and just like with the very first shot out of an AK, just instantly kills me as he comes around the corner. And I was like, maybe I moved and there was this sound cue or something when they were in the other building that like I didn't hear or something like that. But it was the most suspect one that I've had of this whole thing. But we had a chat about it with the guys who were watching at the time, and it's just like just sitting there. It's just never a good idea. Just never like, and I just got kind of locked into indecision, I guess.
Yeah,
rather than
that's
being
tough.
because you're like, oh, I don't want them to hear me,
Right.
because it's rough. It's rough fighting a 2-on-1 when they have information on you. But at the same time, like, I'd almost rather do that and try to run away and like shoot at them and then run away and get to cover and like sprint off or something than just be sat in the room when they turn up. Because like what do I think is actually going to happen? Right, the first, like, even if I kill the first guy, I'm gonna have to reload, and the second guy's right behind him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm probably gonna die anyway. So it's like getting that little ambush it just never really works. It never seems to work unless you're actually in a bush. Like if you're in a bush, it's different. But if you're in a room, it just never seems to work properly. So I don't know, I've had a few moments like that, like realizing things that I've known for many wipes, and you know, coming to terms with them again. I had like I'll just say there's one more as well. I had a nice fight with somebody who had a Mosin, and it was on customs. And if you know like the classic view of the map, not the real compass direction view, but the classic view is like the north side where you can see reserve out through the top, and there's that stash up by it. So you go like up, you go past the trains, and then there's the rocks at the top with a little stash. And it's the stash that's notoriously difficult to get hold of because it's underneath that fence. Yeah. So I went to go. I was sort of going up towards that. I saw him run away from the stash, and I shot him a few times. And he turned around and he shot me in the stomach. So I ran up to the stash itself, and then we had this like little shootout kind of thing. And it actually worked out quite nicely. And it ended up, I didn't actually realize that I'd killed him, but I shot a few off, and then I saw him like shot and then ducked back down again. And then there was nothing, and I was like, he's just like waiting. Like he might just kill me. Because he shot me like once in the thorax, destroyed my armor, and then once in the stomach, and it made me bleed. So I had to heal. My armor was on like, I had one of those ceramic armors that was 45 durability, and it was like 15 out of 45. So I was like, dude, like just shoots me bang and bang, like I'm gonna die here. And I was actually I think I had the ULAC on at that point. I think it was one of the raid when I actually got it in the first place. So I was like, okay, if I just get headshot by this man, like this is gonna be really, really annoying. And we're at a decent distance, so I can't just full auto him with the UMP like mindlessly. So I was like, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to try and avoid getting. I can take a second shot to the chest now because I'm healed back up. I'm just going to like sprint out and try to use the cover. And like if I'm sprinting and like running, it's going to be very difficult for him to land a headshot, especially if I'm like bearing down on him. And then if he misses his first shot, then I can full auto him and kill him. And I did all these maneuvers and got there, and he was dead already. Like I'd killed him with one of the shots from behind the tree, and I was like, okay, fine. But I was like, that was the good play. Like rather than getting like scared and stuck, and like I've got a gear advantage and I've got the weapon advantage. I was like, I should be able to kill this guy, right? And like, I just need to think properly and not be scared and just go for it. Like sometimes I still get locked in these modes, especially early wipe, like when you've got stuff on you that you can't replace as well. Like there's still that gear fear occasionally comes creeping in, right? And it's like changes, or you've got like a Slayer in your bag or whatever, and you're just like, shit, I don't want to lose this, man. Like, and it's what makes the game so great. Like if you lost all of that, like the game would lose all of its meaning. So I'm pleased for it because it makes the game exciting still, but it's like trying to break through that and still make the right plays, which today I did and did really well. So I'm pleased with that. It's getting better. I think that's it really. I think that's it.
That was awesome.
Very long ramble, but it's
cool.
A great story. It's progress.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think my goals going forward is just to have fun with some of the new toys. I want to try out the new guns and kind of just mess about and see. I'm kind of anticipating as we wrap this up. I'm kind of anticipating a patch, like a mid patch. It's not a wipe, but just a patch later on. Here's Lighthouse. Maybe here's Streets. Like I don't know. I'm just kind of anticipating like a content because this patch felt a little on the light side, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like what I've said to a lot of people. Like it's a very, very light patch for content, but I really enjoyed 12-12, and this is like playing 12-12 again, And that's fine because the early game of 12.12 was amazing and it lasted for a good month, like 2 months kind of thing, of the game feeling fresh, feeling new. It wasn't like 12.11 where everyone just raced in and 2 weeks in, everyone's got
Right.
class 5 armor and slicks. Like 12.12 wasn't like that, and I don't think this will be either. So there's enough changes to make it interesting enough, despite the fact that there's not actually that much new stuff. I think I'd still rather play this patch now with the low content than play one of the older patches again. Do you know what I mean? I think it's an improvement on the past. So I'm actually kind of okay with it. I'm enjoying the experience despite there not being anything super new. Like, there's enough new stuff, and the experience is good enough now that they can do this kind of wipe a few times, and I think I'll still be happy about it.
Yeah. And I think getting back into it, as I said earlier in the cast, there's just nothing like a early wipe experience, man. And this is some of the best early wipe experience you can get at the current state Tarkov's in. So,
yep, exactly.
Cool. Well, we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate everyone with the support, and we'll catch you all next week.
Catch you later.